All right, so welcome everybody. This is Community Board 4's March 2021 public hearing and regular monthly meeting. We're going to go ahead and get started now at 6:03 p.m. Thank you to everyone for joining us on time. We have a very busy agenda this evening, so we don't want to spend too much time, wasted before we get started. And I will go ahead and let Zanib Ahmad from the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection kick us off with a quick update on free tax prep. Zanib, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Celeste. Thank you, everybody, for having me present. Just a quick update on my end. As you all know, the city has its New York City Free Tax Prep Service. So if you earn $68,000 or less in 2020, you can utilize the service to file your taxes for free, including from home, and claim refund boosting tax credits like the earned income tax credit and the recovery rebate credit. Just to let you know, and this is hot off the press news, so as of today, March 17th, the IRS has decided to extend the deadline to file your taxes to May 17th of 2021. So the IRS will be providing formal guidance in the coming days, but feel free to reach out to me either by email or phone. Email preferably, just because right now we are in the middle of doing field outreach to some of our vendors in Brooklyn and in some of the other boroughs. So if you do have questions, if you want further information or the contact and site direction to the nearest site in Brooklyn, you can always reach out to me. My number is 212-436-0159. And my email, I'll also include it in the chat box, is zahmad@dca.nyc.gov. Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you. Any questions, board members? Yes, Anne?
Hi, thank you so much. I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but I saw that in the stimulus package that passed the other day, there was an exemption for a certain amount of unemployment that people had. So some of that is not taxable. Do you know when that guidance will come down? How people have, if they've already started to prepare their taxes or going to work with somebody, just if there's anything you can share on that.
Sure. So our tax preparers can provide further guidance depending on your situation. So let's say that if 2020 you were furloughed or you had to apply for unemployment insurance, they can still help you take a look at your previous your tax returns and help determine the type of refund you'll receive. Of course, knowing that we've had this recent change happen where with the stimulus payment changes that occurred, we ourselves are still working with our community organizations to figure out the best option for folks, but we can still provide like further guidance on that, if that makes sense. So.
Okay. And I just want to make sure, I believe Ms. McClellan has joined us. I have a phone number 908-962. Is that you, Ms. McClellan?
Yes.
Okay, you can control your sound now. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, if there are no other questions about free tax prep, going once, going twice, I don't see anything in the chat. We will certainly pass along the information in our newsletters, but thank you, Zanib, for joining us and sharing the info. All right, so let's move on to our second agenda item. So we have a few special guest speakers this evening. We're also joined by the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. First, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Wyckoff Heights Medical Center, specifically Evelyn Chasson, for helping us coordinate. So we're joined this evening by Dr. Meir and also Director Howe and they're going to talk to us a little bit about what's going on in regards to the COVID-19 pandemic and the vaccine rollout at Wyckoff Heights Medical Center. And if you let me know who would like to share, or I see here Dr. Mir, I can make you the presenter if you'd like to share your screen, or I can also share. You let me know what works best. I know you sent us some slides.
Good evening. I'm Dr. Mir, and I'm here with our director, Elaine Howe, and our associate director, Ms. Patty Bauer. I will give you a little bit clinical information, and then Elaine and Patty will tell you about the appointment process and how to reach us. If you can share our screen, that would be great. So you have the control.
Okay, one moment. And I just want to note for board members, while I'm sharing my screen, I cannot add folks to the panelists. So I will check once they conclude the presentation, and I will add everyone who needs to be a panelist this evening. Just give me one moment and I'll share their presentation. All right. Whenever you're ready.
Great. Good evening, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to present. If we can go to the slide view, I think it may be larger. That's okay. We can go from here. So a year ago at this time, we had the first death in New York City, and a year later, we are here celebrating our vaccination program, which is more of a healing of what we have lost in the past and trying to save lives that we desperately lost in Kings County and Brooklyn. The COVID vaccination program kickoff was on December 16, 2020. That was the first day when we offered vaccines in Brooklyn at Wyckoff to our employees initially, and shortly we opened it up to the public based on New York State regulations. We were able to provide Pfizer vaccines and some Moderna vaccines, but we were able to procure a sub-zero refrigerator, which helped us in storing the vaccine at the required temperature, and the New York City and State Department of Health provided us with the vaccine allocations based on our use. We've been open since then for the most part from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. based on vaccine availability for the most part. And all our employees, our clinic patients, our community was receiving this vaccine initially by appointment, but now we are able to take in some walk-ins as well because we do have vaccine available to us. Next. Initially, the takeoff of this vaccine was a little slow because people had a lot of misgivings. They weren't sure it's a safe program. But very quickly, within a week or two, we found that both our employees and our communities adopted the vaccination program very well. The two vaccines that were available to us were Pfizer and Moderna. We predominantly used Pfizer because that was available to us because of our sub-zero refrigerator. Both vaccines are very good in the efficacy, 95% and 96%. Pfizer is given in 2 doses, day 1 and day 21. Moderna is given in 2 doses that are 28 days apart. It's a minor difference, but it's good to know. Both vaccines are well tolerated. With the Pfizer vaccine, as I said, we need to store it at a very low temperature, then it is thawed and it is reconstituted, and we offer it to our patients, and it's refrigerated at regular temperatures. Both vaccines have been delivered as per protocol and as per the New York State regulations, and we were able to successfully deliver both dose 1 and dose 2 without any complications. Next. So if our statistics have to say anything, we can comfortably say that based on the vaccine tracker, which is a tool that we all use, we have offered 14,418 doses, dose ones and dose twos combined. And we continue to vaccinate at the rate of a few hundred every day. And our hope is that by the end of this week, we may reach a very high level, which is, I would say, about 18 to 20,000 doses that need to be given to all our patients. Now, these are combined dose ones and dose twos. About 1,100 of our employees got vaccinated. Some of them got vaccinated here, both dose one and dose two. Some got Pfizer, some got Moderna, but we continue to provide them what is available to us. The rest of the doses are being provided to all eligible community members, as well as our patients that are coming in from clinics as walk-ins. Next. Side effects. A lot of people were concerned about the side effects, both in Moderna as well as Pfizer. And the side effects that we noted in over 15,000 doses that we administered were only low-grade fever, body aches, nothing that a little Tylenol or Motrin would not take care of. There were no major allergic reactions. There were minor issues that were managed. There was no hospitalization related to this vaccination. And knock on wood, thank God, we didn't lose any patient to this vaccine side effect or allergic reaction. I know right now there's a lot of news about AstraZeneca, but as far as Moderna and Pfizer predominantly that we have used, we are happy to report that we have not had any major side effect, and it was tolerated extremely well. And we feel very safe in offering it to all our patients above the age of 16 years of age. Next. So it takes a village to manage a vaccination program. We have a very large team of physicians, nurses, schedulers, house officers, security, administrative support, nurse practitioners, housekeeping, engineering, to ensure that we have PPE available, the environment is clean, everybody has a safe distancing, all the surfaces are cleaned effectively, and everything else is disposed of appropriately. Having said that, what I would like to do is hand off the rest of the presentation to Elaine and Patty to talk about the scheduling specifics or what else is necessary to manage this program. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Eileen Howe. I am the director of our ambulatory services. Alongside me sits my associate director, Ms. Patty Bauer. As Dr. Mir mentioned, we are open from 7 a.m. to approximately 5:30, taking patients in for scheduling. We have an appointment line. If you turn to the next slide, you will be able to see that telephone number, I believe. Oh, that's a picture of one of our vaccinators. I believe the next. Okay. Well, we can stop here for a second. Our appointment schedule telephone number is 718-508-4618 for our vaccination site. The slide that's posted is for our COVID testing site. You can also email us at covidvaccine@whitecrofthospital.org to request an appointment. We are accepting appointments Monday through Sunday, depending on the amount of vaccines that we have. We are vaccinating approximately 300 to 500 patients a day. That is including dose one and dose two. The slide that's posted is our COVID-19 testing site, which is located directly across the street from the hospital. Here at this site, we are testing patients for the rapid PCR test, as well as the antibody test. Our rapid PCR test, we get our results back in 24 hours. Patty?
I think you pretty much covered everything. I don't really have anything to add.
Are there any questions at this time?
Board members, questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
My name is Philip Ceballos, and I have two questions. The first one is, a person doesn't have insurance and also doesn't have document. Is any charge for them? And also, if we have a people from another state, they can take the vaccine here too?
Okay, so for billing purposes, we do not charge. As per New York State guidelines, we are allowed to charge for the admin fee of the vaccine. However, if a patient does not have insurance, then we don't charge them. As far as patients living in another state, as per New York State guidelines, patients that live in another state, as long as they are working in New York, they do qualify for vaccination.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions, board members? I'm gonna check the chat. Go ahead.
Are you accepting any walk-ins or they would have to make an appointment?
No, we do accept same-hour walk-ins. We refer to walk-ins as same-day appointments. So yes, if a patient presents to the hospital and the vaccines are available, yes, we will accept them that day.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Just want to make sure we have all of our board members that have called in. I have a phone number here. One moment.
This is Mary McClellan, and I would like to ask a question about the walk-in.
Go ahead.
Do I have to have an appointment to just, so I don't have to have an appointment, just walk in and I could get a vaccine?
Yes, when you present to the hospital, you will go through a COVID-19 screening. All of our patients coming into the hospital have to go through the screening. We will check you in, and as I stated, if we have vaccines available, we will vaccinate you. In the event for some reason we don't have vaccines on hand, then what we do, we take your information down, and as soon as we get a shipment, we call our patients on the waiting list and we schedule them to come in.
Right. Now, what usually is the waiting time? Is it, I would have to wait in a line maybe outside or inside?
For the most part, the wait is rather quick, and it's inside the hospital. There has been an occasion where we vaccinated 863 patients in one day. On that particular day, the wait line was outside. It did move rather fast. I want to say we had patients wait approximately 30 minutes online, but again, that was a one-time deal, and we vaccinated that day 863 patients from the time of 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. So I'm sure everyone could understand why we had a bit of a wait. Other than that, there's no wait.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? I don't see any in the chat. Just a reminder to folks that are attendees, please. Oh, hold on. There's some in the Q&A, I believe. Let me double check. Nope.
I have a question, Celeste.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you. So my question is, what criteria do people have to meet? Is this all for New York State, for example, not-for-profit workers, people caring for elders, or is this just for 65 and over?
No, so currently, as per New York State, anyone over the age of 60 is entitled to be vaccinated. All healthcare first responders are also entitled. As of today, all public-facing workers are qualified to come in and get vaccinated. We can send you a link if you like. You can log on and you would be able to view all of the New York State guidelines for vaccination. We do have a copy of the vaccine guidelines here for eligibility as well.
Thank you. That's helpful.
You're welcome.
All right. If there are no other questions, going once, going twice. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Oh, they asked, I have a question here from Andres from the Assemblywoman's office. Is there flyers that we can share?
Yes, there. Currently, you have our flyer for our COVID-19 vaccine testing site. We can submit the vaccine flyer to you.
Excellent.
And you can share that. Great.
Okay.
All right, I have another question here. It says, are nonprofit or public-facing workers eligible for the one shot or just the other 2-dose options?
We currently do not have Johnson & Johnson on hand. Right now, what we are offering is Pfizer, which is a 2-day shot.
Got it. And perhaps, I know we still have to hear from the Department of Health. Maybe they can answer that question as well. But if there are no other questions for Wyckoff Hospital, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Yes, and thank you for what you do for our community, especially at times when people that passed away and all the hardship that has been going on. And I tip my hat to you guys because you guys are our heroes, you know. And it's disheartening to see all that's going on in the world, but we want to thank you with the bottom of my heart for helping everyone here in this community through this tough time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so we now have Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. And just a note, if I've missed something in the chat, I promise we will come back to you and we can always pass along your question if it wasn't answered today. Now I want to give Tejumade Ajayoba, our liaison from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, an opportunity to talk a little bit about the city's response to COVID-19 and of course the vaccination rollout on the public side. Tejumade.
Good evening, everyone. Apologies for having some computer issues. I'm not able to turn on my camera or share my screen. Hopefully you can hear me good though. My name is Tejumade Ajayoba. I'm with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene in the Office of External Affairs. We can just jump right into vaccine and I can just give you an idea of what our supply is like. So to date in New York City, we have administered over 3 million doses, and we currently have a little over 416,000 doses on hand. And when we break that down into dose 1 and dose 2, we have over 161,000 first doses and a little over 255,000 second doses. Statewide, over 6.8 million doses have been administered and nearly 12% of New Yorkers are fully vaccinated. There is a weekly tracker that is on the State Department site that lists the amount of doses that we have received to date. It's broken down on a weekly basis. We are expecting another allotment of vaccines this week. Previously, the previous allotment that we received was over 795,000, and that's a big jump from our first week of allocation back in mid-December, and that number was 163,650, and this was an allocation for the state. Excuse me. As I mentioned, this information is available on the state website, but if you are interested in receiving real-time updates on vaccine distribution, you can receive those alerts to your phone. And to receive that via text message, you would text COVID to the number 692. Once again, that number is 692, and you text the word COVID and you will start to receive real-time updates on the vaccine distribution. In terms of sites that we have throughout New York City, there are 15 sites that are run by the Department of Health, and we also have sites that we work in conjunction with, or we run jointly with affiliated physicians. There are also a number of city-run sites as well as state-run sites and private sites. And anyone eligible to receive vaccine should visit our vaccine finder, and that address is vaccinefinder.nyc.gov. Once again, vaccinefinder.nyc.gov. You would visit that site to make an appointment, or you can call 877-VAX4NYC. That number is 877-VAX4NYC. Also, the good thing now we've been able to update on the website is that when you are searching for an appointment, you'll be told what vaccine is available as well as what dose is available. Not all sites have not all sites are doing both first and second doses. Some are only doing second doses. So when you go on the website, it will show you exactly what dose is available and what vaccine is available. And as was mentioned, there are 3 vaccines that are now available: Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. And thankfully, with the introduction of Johnson & Johnson, it has made it possible for homebound individuals to receive the vaccine easier. As was mentioned by the mayor, there was an effort that started sort of like a soft launch in Co-op City, and Bronx, and Brighton Beach here in Brooklyn. And it was through a collaborated effort with the fire department, DFDA, and HPD. And that was specifically targeting adults aged 65 and over in select residential buildings. This is something that we are hoping to scale up in the next couple of weeks. But once again, this is all determined based on the amount of vaccine that we get available, specifically from Johnson & Johnson. So folks who are interested, who are homebound and are interested in receiving the vaccine in their home, there is a form that they can fill out. Those that do not have internet access can also call the 877-VAX4NYC number. And what happens when you fill out that form or call the number, you're not automatically given an appointment. You basically submit information. If you do it online, you submit the form and someone will call you back, ask you some questions, and then if you're eligible, you will receive an appointment. The same with if you call the number, you'll be asked some questions, and then you'll be told right then and there whether or not you're eligible for the at-home vaccination. And the goal of this program was to bring vaccines to priority communities. So in addition with the homebound program, we also have locations in niche developments and naturally occurring retirement communities. And the goal also has been to have locations in some of the hardest hit neighborhoods throughout the city. We have a link on our website. And if you like, Celeste, I can post all of these. I can either post these links into the chat or just send them to you just so that you have them as a resource. But it lists all of the neighborhoods that are hardest hit and that are priority neighborhoods that have been designated by the mayor. And Bushwick is on the list as one of the neighborhoods that are priority. As mentioned, when you do make your appointment, you will receive, excuse me, you will be given a choice of what vaccine that you'll get. But once again, as mentioned, that's going to be based on availability. We've often got questions in terms of trying to compare the Moderna with a Pfizer or Pfizer with Johnson & Johnson. And this is something that we can't really compare because they've been tested at different times in the pandemic and they've been tested in different places. The Johnson & Johnson trials were conducted more recently when there was a higher level of COVID-19 transmission. So it's really hard to do a comparison for this reason with the vaccines. We've just been telling people that whatever vaccine is available to you is the vaccine that you should take. Of course, there are age restrictions with Pfizer. You have to be at least 16 years old. So once that eligibility opens up, someone within that age restriction should definitely be mindful of that. But any other folks, when the vaccine is made available, we ask that you please take the one that is made available. There's some things that are currently unknown with regards to the vaccine. And one of the things is that we're not sure how effective any of the 3 vaccines are at preventing COVID-19 infection without symptoms, meaning that you might still be able to get and transmit the virus to others, even if you don't get sick. So that's still an unknown. Another unknown is how long the protection from the vaccine lasts and whether a booster shot will be needed. We're not sure if this is a one-shot dose where you get your vaccine this year and you're good for the foreseeable future, or if this is something that you would have to get yearly, similar to the flu. So those are still some unknowns and things that are being looked at, and we hope to have more information as time goes on. As was also mentioned in terms of the eligibility, starting on March 9th, it was opened up to people ages 60 and older, and that includes with pharmacies, they can vaccinate people 60 years and older, and school faculty and staff and childcare workers. And starting today, it opened up more to include public-facing government and public employees, nonprofit workers, and essential in-person public-facing building service workers. There's an extensive list of everyone who is eligible for a vaccine on our website. Once again, I could post that into the chat. One thing that I did want to note in terms of vaccine, I think I've actually mentioned this once or twice already, but it bears repeating that although our numbers of vaccine from the federal government have been increasing, there still remains a limited supply of vaccine. As mentioned, when you go to our vaccine finder, you will be told what appointments are available and not available, but we need more vaccines in order for us to be able to open up appointments. So it's 100% dependent on that. We have the locations. As I mentioned, there are many locations throughout the city, but if we don't have the vaccine to supply the location, then it can't be open. And the distribution right now, based on what we have, is being phased based on the risk categories, and these are categories that are established by state and federal guidance. One thing that you can do is continue to check our website, the vaccinefinder.nyc.gov site, to see when appointments are available, or you can call the hotline 877-VAX for NYC. I just want to share some more resources for people who already have scheduled an appointment and they're having an issue with it. Like, say for instance, you got your first shot, but you left without getting your second shot, or you realize that the date is wrong for your second dose, or you have to change the date. Any type of issues that you may have with your appointment, you can call 833-307-1678. Once again, that number is 833-307-1678. And this number is specifically for people who already have an appointment. They're just having issue with their appointment and they need assistance with it. Another number that I will share with you is a number to a state hotline. Many people ask us about eligibility requirements. When are they going to open up? Why are some people chosen and others are not? These are guidelines that come to us from the state. So if you have any specific questions about that, you can call 888-364-3065. Once again, that number is 888-364-3065. And lastly, I want to share with you a number and an email address that you can call or reach out to if you feel that you may have been subject to any type of vaccine abuse or fraud. And that number is 833-VAX-SCAM. That's 833-VAX-SCAM. Or you can email stopvaxfraud@health.ny.gov. Once again, stopvaxfraud@health.ny.gov. And I'll wrap it up there. Thank you.
Thank you, Tejumade. I know that was a lot of information, everyone, but it's important to have, reliable information from both our partners at Wyckoff and also from the city. If there are questions, board members, this is the time.
Yes, I have. I just want to thank you for coming down, because we've been wanting Department of Health and to come down to do a presentation and keep us abreast on what's going on. And I know my district manager has been sending emails, and some of the things maybe we can speak. Some of the emails wasn't I don't know if it was taken care of, or we got you now, so hopefully we'll have good contact if we need anything else in regards to the shot, or finding any issues that we may have here. So also I'm not too, are you guys responsible for the schools that are having the shots now given to the people?
We have locations in schools. Yes, we have locations in schools.
Okay, so now you know that the high schools are high school is starting on the 22nd. There's going to be kids coming in. Are you saving doses for the teachers that want to get vaccinated there and then? Or how is it opening it up? Because we have a location there, or maybe we can work something out in regards to Bush High School, because we've been getting a lot of issues and complaints, and we want to make sure that the people that go there that want to get the shot, especially seniors, or everyone are little and don't want to get it, or set up an appointment and don't go, and then they go there, or they don't have a computer and they're trying to or they're computer literate, and they can't get an appointment, or they have no one to make sure that someone gets an appointment. And if they do get an appointment there, when they go to the school, then they're there for getting there. If there's the shots, instead of them, they send them home, and then you give them an appointment, they might not want to come back. You have people that have diabetes. I had a senior that went there in the wheelchair into the school, and the daughter was also sick herself. She was a EDP with the daughter, and they both wanted to get it. They didn't know how to mess it, and they were sent home. They shouldn't be sent home, because now these people that can need the shot. I don't know how they're sending people home that come here like this to this community and in Bushwick. They should be able to get the shot. I just don't know what is all this red tape or holding things when here you have someone that's in a chair, took an Uber, the daughter's also emotionally disturbed, wants a shot, and we're bumping heads. So I don't think that they'd be sent home, because if you give them an appointment, they might not come back. So especially in Bushwick, you give me an appointment for X amount of days, I might not come back. I'm not going to get a shot. But if you got the person there, why not take care of them? And they're from the community. I know places that they're coming from all over the place, and they're from Jersey, a place, they're coming here, and they're getting their shots, and the people that here that want to get the shot don't get the shot. So there are a lot of issues that we ourselves, and we would try to write to the commission and say, why aren't they giving who's up in the 22nd of school? And are there going to be shots for teachers that want it there? Is there going to be extra for teachers that want it there? They're going to come there to get a shot and say, listen, I was scared, I want to get one now. Is there?
All right, so thank you for sharing that, and hopefully you can hear me clearly. You were breaking up a bit. I'm not sure if it's my computer or yours, but the first issue that I want to address in terms of Bushwick and any other locations that we have in high schools, as you mentioned, they will be open soon. So we are working to find other locations to move the sites to. And of course, the concern is for people who already have appointments. And this happened previously, I believe, in middle schools were open. So we reach out to the people who have appointments. We send emails, we make phone calls, we have people who are posted at the site. You know, once the site is moved, we have people who are actually posted at that site just in case people show up and direct them to the new location. And our goal has been to find locations that are very near to the previous location, so that if someone shows up, they don't have far to travel. So that's something that is being worked on. The second concern that you raised around people being sent home, unfortunately, the way that our sites work, and I know it's different in Wyckoff because I heard them say that they don't, appointments aren't required, but for our sites, appointments are required. So if someone were to just walk in, we would have to turn them away. And there have been issues of people who come from out of state or from New York City who have showed up to vaccination sites. And I've heard that some people are getting vaccine. It's not something that's supposed to happen. The way that these sites are run, there are no waiting lists. There has to be, it's appointment based, and you have to live within New York City. There may be instances one-off at locations where someone who's leading the site is not following the guidelines that was set out for us. But in any instance, when you come to one of our locations, it has to be appointment based. There are no walk-ins. You're muted.
So if there's extra shots at the end of the day, what do they do with them?
Well, right now, there've been at the locations, the staff that works at the locations, the eligibility has also been opened up for staff to receive shots. So at the end of the shift, if there is vaccine available, then staff who have worked that shift will receive doses.
I see Louisa has her hand raised. Louisa Chan.
I was just curious, if you have a better sense now that the vaccine availability for Johnson & Johnson have also kind of enabled the city to be able to vaccinate more people at, rather than before we required 2 doses. Like, are there going to be any changes to the eligibility requirements and opening it up so that more people are eligible? And just curious, because I'm I'm in my 30s, so I'm pretty sure I'm like at the end of the line here, but I'm just curious like how that might impact just eligibility for us younger folks too.
For Johnson, thank you for that. For Johnson & Johnson, we want to direct that to homebound specifically because with Moderna and Pfizer, neither of those vaccines can be transported from point A to point B. They have certain refrigeration requirements, but Johnson & Johnson, that's mobile. So our preference would be to definitely reserve that for homebound individuals until we are at least able to vaccinate all homebound individuals. But to answer your question, as someone in their 30s, the eligibility is supposed to be opening up as of May. So I know we're in March, and that's that may seem like a long way ahead, but their eligibility will open up in a couple of months. It's also for someone in their 30s, there is eligibility if you have, depending on what your role is. Like as of right now, home health aides, teachers and education workers, first responders, public safety workers, public transit workers, restaurant, grocery, people with underlying conditions, people who work at vaccine locations, those who are homeless and live in a congregate setting. It's been opened up dramatically, and I'm not sure if someone does not fall in one of those categories by May, it will significantly have opened up to include you.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a question from the Q&A. Are there locations in Bushwick that could help seniors or other individuals book an appointment to get the vaccine?
I'm not, so is the question that the person needs help booking the appointment?
So I think it's the question is, well, yes, they said yes.
Okay. So for someone who needs help booking an appointment, we are working with CBOs. I can find out what CBOs are working in this area, Celeste, and I could send that to you. So basically what we do is we train community members and walk them through the process of how to help someone schedule an appointment. It's called Train the Trainer. So we do work with CBOs and community members in this way. So I can get that information and pass it along to you. Just you could share with folks who need assistance making appointments.
Okay, great. Any other questions? Board members? Going once? Going twice? Okay. Seeing none, thank you so much, Tejumani, for being here this evening. We will certainly follow up. And if there are any other questions, we will absolutely pass them along.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Have a good night. And please, Celeste, continue to look to me as a resource if you need any additional information.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
All right, bye.
All right, so that officially concludes our public hearing for this evening. We will go right into our regular meeting agenda. Give me one moment to pull it up. Starting with our first roll call. Board members, please be ready. And before I do that, I am having some issues, just so everyone knows. For whatever reason, I'm not able to see some of the phone numbers for people that are calling in. I don't know why. I was trying to fix it. But I believe I have Reverend Eights here, because this is an anonymous. I can tell it's anonymous. Reverend Eights, is this you?
Yes.
Okay, I have you, Reverend Eights. You can control
Okay.
your sound now. And I can't, I have two other callers, but I can't see their phone numbers at all. One it starts with a 7. So if you've called in and you're a board member and you're not speaking right now, just let me know if this is your number, and I apologize for the technical issue. Is anyone there, caller with a 7, starts with a 7? Yeah, I already have you. Yeah, I have you, Carlotta. Yeah, there's really no way for me to tell. I'm gonna have to report this to WebEx. I apologize. Board members, if you are on and you can hear me, please try to text someone or reach out to someone so that way I can unmute you. I just can't see any numbers at all for whatever reason. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up our attendance sheet. Be ready. Starting with Reverend Grace Eights. Got you. Joanna Bennett.
Here.
Chelsea Brown. Raul Brown.
Present.
Robert Camacho.
Present.
Cartier Caphart.
Present.
Melissa Carrera.
Present.
Felix Ceballos.
Present.
Louisa Chan.
Present.
Andrew Choi. Daniela Davi.
Present.
Alvina Davis.
Present.
Victoria Fernandez. James Fitzgerald.
Present.
Freddie Fowler.
Yeah.
Igabi Gomez.
Present.
Board members, mute yourself if you're not speaking yet. Reverend Miguel Gutierrez. Jose Guzman is excused. Tanisha Honeygam.
Here.
Barbara Jackson.
Present.
Kristen Jock.
Here.
Cheryl Jones. Virgie Jones. Luisa Jose.
Present.
Got you, Luisa. Mary McClellan.
Sorry, Celeste, I'm here, Virgie. I'm sorry.
No problem. Got you, Virgie. Mary McClellan.
Here.
Got you. Desmond Monroe is excused. Sammy Navir Olivares.
Present.
Zuma Navoa.
Present.
Asaya Polite.
Present.
Gladys Pulia. Raul Rubio. Eliseo Ruiz, Julio Salinas,
Present.
Bernardina Shell is excused, Barbara Smith, Dustin Sonborn,
Present.
Annette Spellin, yes,
Annette called, she has a very bad emergency. She said to tell you she can't come on.
oh, okay, thank you, I'll mark her as excused,
Yeah. Okay.
thank you. Jerry Valentin, Carlotta Williams,
Present.
James Wiseman, Old Off Right. Okay. I'm gonna do the tally, one moment, please.
Celeste, I think my name got skipped, but I'm here too, so add me to the tally.
Got you, yep, thank you, Ann.
Plus, did you catch me too? Because I was having some
Raul
trouble.
Rubio's on.
It's me, Raul
No,
Rubio.
I didn't. If you didn't say present, I did not mark you as present. So I will amend this as I recount. Thank you. Please let me know if you didn't say present earlier. "28 board members present. That constitutes a quorum. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to our second agenda item, acceptance of the agenda. Is there a motion from the board?
Davis.
Okay, I heard Ms. Davis. Is there a second?
I second.
Barbara Jackson, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Agenda item number 3, acceptance of the previous meeting minutes. Is there a motion from the board?
Robert Camacho make a motion to accept the previous minute.
Is there a second?
Fred Fowler, second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Moving on to agenda item number 4, our chairperson's report. Mr. Camacho.
Hi, how are you? Thank you for everyone joining in this evening. I just want to let the agent community that we love them, and we also have board members that are in the that are agent, and we do not wish any harm to any of them. It's a tragedy to see that this is going on, that they're getting assaulted and beat up for nothing of their own, and it's disheartening and sad. We have an agent community, they don't bother anyone. So I just we support them, we love them, and we're here for them. And we have a lot of agent people in our community that does a lot of work, and we also have some on this board. And it's sad to see that they volunteer their services and help us, and you have characters out there doing this heinous thing, and that's not who we are. So we want to work with them, we love them, and we care for them, and we got their back. Bushwick got their back. So whatever we can do, we're here for them in any sense, whether you understand or don't understand. I also like to let all the board members know that it's election time. We get our ad hoc committee, the whole executive board. We have to get the ad hoc committee. Hopefully by April they'll start. May is the election, and June starts the new year. So we have to get our ad hoc committee together. Also, if any of the chairs that are doing their reports, please give it to us in an early fashion. Don't wait. Some stuff we would have to table because some things didn't come in, or if they did, I don't know if they did. We need to have these reports in for everyone to review it and read the reports. If y'all gonna do it and y'all say y'all gonna do it, or y'all having a hard time and you can't do it, don't want to do it, or you gonna just let us know early in time, so the district manager or anyone that's in that committee that works for the board can do it and make sure we have it at the earliest convenience for we can review it and make sure everything is up to par. Regards to, I have been in a lot of Zoom meetings in regards to February 18th, Thursday at 6 p.m. I was at the Community Advisory Board meeting from 97 Wyckoff Avenue. That's the shelter. They started December 2nd, 2020. That's the shelter that's on Hart Street. And Wyckoff in the corner, there's 40 males, 55 and over. The services that they get there, they have Woodhall and a Wyckoff Hospital assisting them with any incident situation. If anybody that lives around there see any congavanting or things that is out of the norm, please let us know, because we there is an advisory board there and we make sure that it's being taken care of. On February 19th, Friday at 1 p.m., I met with appointed as a new executive director there. Says he's gonna try to work, and we hope that, all the time you see new people come in there, they come with different decisions and they get rid of the crew and they bring crew. So we want to make sure that they leave the same, I press that they leave the same crew that is there. We work with them and they do good work with us. The same day, February 19th, that Friday from 3:30 to 4:30, we were at a Zoom meeting, 1325 Broadway, Linden. We still, maybe Celeste will fill you in on some of the, still fighting with the developer there in 1325. That's the Avila Hansley Garden. On February 19th, Friday at 5 o'clock, I was in New York City. Me and Celeste was in Senator Salazar forum for 2 and 3 family homes. They were telling us that there's a right, a rent thing that you can fill out and tax breaks that they can give out for homeowners, 2 and 3 family homes for seniors. I think the date has expired for taxes. I'm not too sure. We'll get more info. I think Celeste, I put it also in the newsletter. Also on the 23rd, Tuesday at 3 p.m., there was food supply distributor from the district leader, Sammy Namur. There was a Zoom meeting in regards to the food that they're handing out and giving out here in Bushwick and Williamsburg. On February 23rd, Tuesday at 6 p.m., the House and Land Use Committee met. On February 21st at 4 p.m., there was a Brooklyn Borough Board meeting. And at the Brooklyn Borough Board meeting was New York City Department of Veteran Services. We had the budget. It was a breakdown. I don't know, since now the president approved, I don't know if these numbers are correct, or are we still having $122 million cuts, budget cuts of 696 million, 3-to-1 job loss. I'm not too sure if they're gonna do that, if we got any money for it, or if it'll pass, or I guess we'll find out about that now. The Brooklyn Chambers of Commerce was there, and City of Planning, photo search for ZAP. Now ZAP Planning project. You can see applying online now, and that photo is gonna be, they say, by online open house, it'll be by May. And if any, you would have to ZAP search, and they'll tell you who's applying for these permits. And on and then on March 3rd at 6 p.m., Executive Board met. On March 4th, Shape of Bushwick, March Sanitation Work Group, Friday the 5th, the NBK 5 p.m. Small Business Virtual, on March 9th at 6 p.m. Economic Development and Permits and License, on March 4th, Bushwick Sanitation Work Group. Oh, I have so many. On March 10th, at 5 p.m., the Bushwick Historical Preservation Work Group 1. On Thursday, March 11th at 6 p.m., the Civil Public Safety Committee. Monday, Thursday the 15th, Special Housing Land Use Meeting at 6 p.m. Tuesday, the 16th, from 11 to 12, the Bushwick Community Partners. I like to get in this meeting because they do what they before we even start, they start at 11. They do when you relax and you breathe and you think and you figure I'm just waking up and they're having a meeting, and all of a sudden here I am. They're doing to relax and calm yourself down. They're doing these things because a lot of people that are all day in their homes and stuck in their homes, so they want you to relax. And it was a good meeting. They always bring people to speak in regards to the community partners. You guys should get on. It's pretty good. Wednesday today, 17, 6 p.m. The full board, and that is my meeting, my meetings and my report.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. Any questions, board members? All right, hearing none, we'll keep moving on with the agenda. We now have the introduction of elected official representatives. So I do have a short list. I've been monitoring the attendance this evening. I'm going to mute everyone all at once, just so you can, speak and control your sound. Just be ready. I will say your name before I unmute you, just so you know. So I have Andres. I'm gonna unmute you now. I'm gonna go through the list and then, we'll circle back.
Hi, this is Andres from Assemblywoman Davila's office.
Thank you. I also have, just give me one moment. I'm going to mute in this order: Harris Khan, Julio Salazar, Marcus Harris, as well as Jeanette Gonzalez. So just give me a moment and I'll mute all of you, and then I'll go through the list again for you to do your introduction and provide contact information. All right, Andres, whenever you're ready.
Hi, I'm sorry, you said Andres?
Yes, go ahead, yes.
Okay. Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Andres. I work for the Assemblywoman Maritza Davila. We're located at 249 Wilson Avenue. Our phone number is 718-443-1205. Thank you.
Thank you. Harris Khan, you're next.
Hi, thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Harris Khan here. I'm the community liaison for Controller Scott Stringer. I just want to say good evening to everybody. Taika used to cover these meetings for the office, but she's on leave doing some stuff. So I'm chipping in, and I'm going to be covering Bushwick for the remainder of I guess the year, or potentially half of the year. We do not know, but I'll drop my email, my number. Feel free to reach out to me always if there's any intersection that you think our office could help with, or if you just want to chat about Bushwick. I'd love to learn more about all the great work the community members and board members have been doing here for years. So happy to learn from all of you and to work with you in any way to amplify community's concerns and resolve them. And I'll drop my info in the chat, and in the announcement section, I guess I'll do report out on a couple of things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome home. Welcome home.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That's so
Julio
sweet.
Julio Salazar.
Good evening, everyone. Julio Salazar, Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez's office. We're located over at 266 Broadway. Phone number is 718-599-3658. Thank you.
Thank you. Marcus Harris.
Good evening, everyone. Marcus Harris, Special Assistant to Brooklyn Borough President Eric Adams. We are 209 Geralman Street. Our main number you can still reach us on is 718-802-3700, or you can reach me directly on my cell phone, which is 917-324-2680. Hi, everyone.
Hey, Marcus, what's going on? How you doing?
I can't complain. Trying to get that street on Broadway DOT to actually paint it.
Yeah, we got it. Yeah, we got it. Thank you. Let's go. Let's get it on.
There we go. And Jeanette Gonzalez.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jeanette Gonzalez. I am representing the Councilwoman District 37, Dharma Diaz. And our address is 1945 Broadway. And the telephone number for our office is 718-642-8664.
Thank you. All right, so that concludes elected official introductions, representative introductions. We'll now move on to our community-based organizations and city agencies. I've made a list, so similarly, I'm just going to go through the list and I'll unmute everybody. When I say your name, just be prepared to be unmuted. I have here, let's see, I think Cynthia had to go. I have Noel, Alan, I'm gonna unmute you. I also have Flaco Jimenez, I'm gonna mute you both. And then John Stanesco and Roger Clemens. Just give me a moment. Unmuting. All right, and if I missed anyone from an organization, please let me know in the chat. We'll go ahead and get started with Noel and Flaco. Whoever wants to speak, go ahead.
Hi, this is Noel, Bushwick Star. Very happy to be here. Yeah, we're such a lot to report from the Star these days, but we've been running our programs in our schools in El Puente remotely these days, and we are actually in the middle of a move with our theater, so that's something that we'll be undergoing for the next year. But
no, my apologies. I don't mean to cut you off, but right now it's just name and contact info right now. Announcements are a little bit.
Oh, thanks for clarifying that. You caught me a little off guard. I wasn't sure. So
no problem.
My number is 917-620-8546, and the organization is the Bushwick Star Theater. Thanks, Celeste. Sorry.
No problem. Thank you for joining us. Next, I have John Stanesco. John, you there? John, I saw that you unmuted, but we still can't hear you for whatever reason. I think there might be a sound issue on your end. It's okay. Feel free to drop the info in the chat, and if it's fixed.
Coalition for Hispanic Family Services.
Yes.
My number is 929-276-7188. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You just sound a little bit far away, but we got it. Thank you. And then Roger Clemens. Roger?
Hello, yes, I'm representing the Brooklyn Public Library DeKalb branch, and a contact number is 347-403-8992.
Thank you. Again, if I've missed anyone, it's not intentional. Please just drop a line in the chat, and there will be another opportunity for groups to speak later during announcements. Moving on with our agenda, we now have the report this evening from the 83rd Precinct. I believe we have our captain joining us, Captain Sanabria. I'm going to make you a panelist. Just give me one moment. All right, you should be able to control your sound and video.
Start video.
Yep.
See me? Okay, there you go. All right. Hello, everyone. How are you? My name's
Hey, I see some points on the save, huh?
I'm going to be as honest as possible today. Just really quick, I just want to talk about a few of our crimes going on in the 8-3. We're notorious for property crimes. Our burglaries are up but our grand larcenies are down. All right, so burglaries, please ensure that your front doors are locked. We're seeing a lot of unlocked doors. If you can, cameras kind of make the bad guys go away. So if you could put up cameras in houses and get it out there, maybe landlords, if they could put cameras out, that'll bring down our burglaries. And of course, the people who see something, please say something. Call 911. We don't want you to stop them. We want you to call 911, give us a good description, possibly be there when we show up, and point out the person who's doing these problems. So that's really been our big issue in regards to burglaries. But like I said, grand larcenies are down, which is great. Grand larcenies include anything over $1,000 in property or credit card crimes. So those are down a lot. Another thing I wanted to bring up is domestic violence. We have seen a little bit of an increase of domestic violence in regards to being assaults. So I want you to all know that you could always call the precinct if you are involved in domestic violence or you know someone who is involved in domestic violence. And I'm going to give you I'm going to give the number to the domestic violence officers. We're not just here to arrest people. We're here to help you out. We're here to point you in the right direction if you don't want them to be arrested, because there are ways for us to get the family back together without anyone having to be arrested or go to jail. So if I'm going to give out that number, it's 718-574-1830. Once again, 718-574-1830. This number goes directly to our domestic violence officers. They've been doing this for a very long time, and they're good at what they do. So if you can do that, get that information out there. There is help, and we're here to help them. So jumping to collisions real quick, we're down in collisions for the entire 83rd precinct, and we are especially down in our pedestrian struck and our bicycle struck. You wouldn't believe that we're down in bicycles because there's bicycles all over the place, but we are down in bicycles, and we've as the weather comes out nicer, we're going to try to be out there more in regards to educating bicyclists of the rules of the road, especially those who are delivering Grubhub, Seamless, Postmates, things like that, to make sure that we are that they know the rules of the road. They are supposed to abide by the same rules as vehicles, and that they need to be careful out there in regards to that. A lot of our bicycles being struck is them, the bicyclists, not paying attention to the red lights, stop signs, things like that, or not having the proper equipment on so that they can be seen at night, which is another issue. So if we could get that information out there to our fellow community people out in Bushwick, that would be great. So you're going to see us out there. You're going to see us giving out flyers. You're going to see us at intersections. That's just so that we can let everyone know that we're trying to do it as much as we can to make sure that the people who are walking and biking in Bushwick are as safe as they can be. All right. So that's all I have. I don't know if anyone else has anything. I don't know, Celeste, if this is the time.
Yeah. Questions, board members? I see Sammy had a question.
Hi, yes, thank you, Celeste. Yeah, I have a question. I would like to see if you have more information regarding any removal of homeless people around Middle Broadway. I saw in social media some reports of around 20 homeless people that were visited by officers. So I do know as a fact that in the BQ in Williamsburg, some homeless people were removed with the presence of NYPD and sanitations and DHS. And the authorities are, revising the protocol to ensure that the resources that are addressing that is not, NYPD or any any sweeps that it seems that are being targeted on homeless population. So do you have any other information as to what if this is happening in Bushwick and why?
So, on Broadway and Myrtle, we are having an issue in regards to drug sales. It has nothing to do with homelessness. We did a quality of life initiative last Thursday where we arrested drug dealers and people buying drugs. So I know that on social media, they put out that we went out there and just swept up homeless people. That's not the case. In actuality, we're actually trying to combat burglaries and grand larcenies when we do that. Not only do we take the drug dealers and drug users off the street, we also slow down the burglaries, because of what we've been noticing is that our burglars are usually the local drug users who go around and looking for anything that they could get their hands on, breaking into apartment buildings, taking packages, things of that sort, climbing fire escapes, breaking into people's houses through their windows. So that was what happened last week. Nothing to do with homelessness, nothing to do with anything like that. It was just crime driven, so that we can continue to combat crime. Did I answer your question, sir?
Yeah, so to confirm, they didn't live there. They were just they spent the day there, but they did not live there.
You talking about where we made the arrests?
Right.
No, they were just selling and buying drugs. When we talk about drugs, we're talking about heroin, things of that nature.
They don't sleep in that area. I think that's the question.
No, I don't believe so. They just go there to buy their drugs.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
Captain, yes, and you're 100% right, because I walk through there all the time, and I see them all. They come from the other side of Bed-Stuy and they cross over, and I have witnessed them myself buying, selling there, and hanging out there. A whole bunch of the gangavanting there, right on the corner there. And I had went by the other day and I seen a couple of guys marking each other and calling each other over. And I see that there's a lot of activity, and there's been a lot of problems there also with the Y2K and those same guys breaking into construction sites and stealing the tools and stuff. Because I see a couple of them walking with the shopping carts and tools when they break into the construction sites that they're doing the new remodel building. So we really have to watch that area, because most of them come from the other side, and most of them come just only to pick up, and they get on the train too. On the train station, you see them, because when they see you guys come, they go on the train station and do their activities. Because when I go by there, I see them going upstairs. So I want to thank you for helping us clean that place, because that place really needs, for years, it's been really bad. And if there's any issue with homeless services or people, you can contact the office. Maybe we can get someone there to try to take care of them in regards to homeless. But I know that there's much more than just homeless there.
Yeah, absolutely. That we're definitely doing. For that day, we dealt with the crime of selling drugs and using drugs. But if we ever come across people who are homeless, even when we found out if they are homeless, we refer them to Breaking Ground, which is a nonprofit who helps the homeless. So we're just not arresting them and putting them in jail. We actually want to help them, and we do refer them to lots of nonprofits that are willing to help, that we work together with, and we've worked together for quite a while. So so there's just much more than we do than just arrest people.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before you mention, you try to educate people driving bicycle, but people driving bicycle and also electric bicycle, motorcycle, most the people they make a deliver, That's is illegal or violation. Also, when they don't have the equipment they have to use, that's illegal, and also they can get charged for that.
So the city is moving toward making e-scooters legal and mopeds legal. So at first they weren't, and we would enforce that violation with a summons. Now they're making it legal, and now we got to deal with educating those people, because we know those e-bikes can go pretty quick down the street. So with education comes enforcement afterwards. So we do both, but we're going to try to do the education, push the education more, but enforcement will always, when anything hurts the pocket, they're going to remember in the future. So that, that's the purpose of summons, is not to say, bad on you, but hey, we're doing this so that you can know, and so that Bushwick can be safe in the future. So just keep an eye out for these laws. Before we could not register e-bikes. Now we can. And we want to push the initiative of registering e-bikes to make so that we know where, just in case it's stolen, we can find it, we can mark it, and things like that. So there's a lot going on right now, especially with the push toward greener ways of traveling throughout the city. That the city is pushing the least cars, the better. You see it with the bike lanes. You see it with all the city bike docking stations around. So we're going to see an increase of that. It's not going to go away. So I think that's why education is important, but enforcement follows closely thereafter.
I agree with that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. If there are no other questions I see Luisa, your hand's raised. Do you have a question? Okay. If not.
Hello, you said something?
No, I meant Luisa Chan. My apologies. I think she lowered her hand. So.
Yeah, sorry, that was left over from the public hearing session.
No problem. And I don't see anything in the chat or in the Q&A. Again, if we've missed you, it's not intentional. We will certainly pass along the questions to the precinct. But thank you, Captain, for being with us this evening.
Well, thank you, Celeste. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
And before we move on to the next agenda item, I do just want to acknowledge I had an oversight earlier. We do have some city agency representatives that have joined us this evening on the call. So both Damaris Falero from Department of Buildings, as well as David Nussbaum. Thank you for joining us. And then I also see here we have both of our community affairs officers, Officer Lopez and Officer Gomez. Thank you so much for being here this evening. All right.
Thank you, HPD.
Yeah, DOB, not HPD.
DOB.
Yeah.
Oh, I think
so, yeah. Let's see. So now we'll go into the next agenda item, which is my report, the district manager's report. Give me one moment to pull it up.
In the meantime,
I'm sorry, someone saying something?
Yeah, in the meantime, this is Mary McClellan, and I want to thank the 83 Precinct Commanding Officer and Officer Gomez, who is our Community Affairs Officer, for getting us safely to the vaccine site and back to our apartment.
Hey! So that means you got the shot?
Yes, both of them.
Oh, that means I can hug you now.
Yes. But thanks to the 83 Precinct and Police Officer Gomez, that's right, I'm finished with mine.
Excellent. All right, thank you, Ms. McClellan. That's such good news. All right, if there are no other comments from the board, I will go into my report. Hearing none. Good evening, everyone, and happy Women's History Month. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe as the city slowly begins reopening even further. As we heard earlier this evening, it's still important to remain cautious as it relates to COVID-19 by staying informed and following the evolving health guidelines. I also want to take a moment to echo Mr. Camacho's statement regarding the current events and violence directed at the Asian community. Unfortunately, many of us are not strangers to hate connected to our identity, whether it's race, sexuality, or gender. It's important to stand together and look out for one another. No one should have to suffer in silence. We do have a small Asian community in Bushwick that some might not even know about. Please take the time to get informed and learn more about how you can support them and our Asian community members during these unpredictable and scary times. I would also like to thank everyone for their patience and help while we remain short-staffed. Sharon and I continue to do our best to manage the high volume of information and requests that come to the community board. It is certainly challenging for only 2 full-time staff. That being said, I will now go into the meetings and events that I've attended within the past month. I have made a note to not repeat any that Mr. Camacho and I have attended together. I will elaborate starting on February 19th, the meeting with the 1325 Broadway development team. It was Mr. Camacho, myself, the committee chairperson, and Guiney. We were joined by Asher Freeman from Councilmember Reynoso's office, and Crystal Hansley, one of the neighboring residents on the block, was invited to join, although she was unable to make it. This was really a check-in. You know, they had received the email that we sent inviting them to the special committee meeting that was held in February, and they apologized for missing it and being unable to attend. They were not aware of any of the conversations or the deed restriction that had been, you know, a topic of discussion, you know, concerning their plans. You know, essentially the one piece of leverage that the community had, you know, that would hopefully, right, change the proposed plans to something that better suits the neighborhood. As Mr. Camacho mentioned, those conversations are still ongoing. There is a group of neighbors and folks who want to advocate along with those neighbors that have been meeting and having discussions about what they would like to see there. I'm happy to provide more information to anyone that would like to get involved. And moving on Wednesday, February 24th, this is another housing and land use related item. I did have an initial call with Annie Levers from Speaker Corey Johnson's office. We'll hear a little bit more about that conversation. We had a special committee meeting on Monday, but this was really just to get a better sense. And I want to thank Asher from Councilmember Reynoso's office for connecting us to Annie, and of course for Annie for taking the time to explain, you know, very important, you know, vital legislation, you know, and of course with any new legislation, there's a lot of information to process and digest. I really encourage everyone to learn more. And of course, take a look at the meeting report from this past Monday when they attended the meeting. And on Thursday, March 4th, it was a busy day. There were several activities. I had a call with the Department of Citywide Administrative Services regarding an old business item for housing and land use, 93A Star Street. For some, you may remember, this is an irregular shaped lot. The attorney for the adjacent property owner, who's been the caretaker for this space for years now, has asked for the community board's assistance figuring out what's going on, as they have not heard anything and they still are interested in acquiring the land. More information on that later. And we also held a Shape Up Bushwick Planning Committee meeting. It is, you know, we are almost into the spring and we are excited to adapt Shape Up Bushwick to the times, knowing that we won't be able to convene as we usually do. You'll hear a little bit more about that later as well during committee reports. And I also had the opportunity to speak with a Census Bureau representative. We did an exploring data info session that was really helpful. There are a lot of publicly available tools, you know, including the American Community Survey, you know, data maps, really, really incredible. I believe there's the opportunity indexed. I have to look up specifically what was shared with me, but I'm happy to provide any information to folks who are interested in learning more about those tools. And we held a sanitation working group meeting that same day. It's the 9th meeting that we've had. We continue to partner with local merchants such as Tony's Pizza, Sal, Clean Bushwick Initiative, who has been really connecting with the community and hosting cleanups and helping get the word out there, you know, to better take care of Bushwick, right? You know, making sure that we're managing and we're addressing the issues with the garbage. And of course, also holding the sanitation department accountable. And on Friday, March 5th, I had a call with Alexandra Pati Diaz from City Planning. She provided an update on the forthcoming city planning text amendments. More information on that will be shared within the next several months. Monday, March 8th, I had a call with Deshaun Mars from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce. It was an introduction, the first time we were speaking, and I also shared a little bit more information about the Community Board for Economic Development Strategy / plan to see how we can partner with the Chamber and work together to develop that resource for the community. And on Tuesday, March 9th, there was a Borough Service Cabinet meeting. The Department of Consumer and Worker Protection provided an update on general vending, which includes how they will be within the next several months taking over enforcement. And enforcement doesn't necessarily mean just issuing violations. They were very clear that there will be an educational outreach phase. There was some resistance to just education because we know that there's a difference between folks who are trying to do the right thing, right? They're trying to provide for a family and want a vending permit. And then we also know that there are folks who try to illegally vend and pose potential public safety risks to communities. And so, you know, this was made clear by my colleague from Board 3, Henry Butler, but we also emphasize that we want to make sure that there's a distinction in how, you know, outreach is being handled and of course how enforcement is being handled to protect the community. And there's also on Wednesday, March 10th, a Historic Preservation Working Group meeting. I'm happy to say that there were some positive updates. A resident from Cornelia Street, Eddie Claudio, was able to submit a request for evaluation, and the LPC responded that they would be looking into it, which is a favorable response, according to our liaison, Kelly Carroll from the Historic Districts Council. We also found out that the South Bushwick Reformed Church on Bushwick Avenue is going to be getting a grant to help repair their steeple, which is great news. And there are more updates related to landmarking, but those were just two to share for now. And on Friday, March 12th, I had a call with Jay Gottlieb from the Office of Management and Budget. This is regarding budget consultations for this year, which is the annual process that all community boards engage in with city agencies where we have discussions about budget priorities and help better plan for service delivery within our communities. The same day, I spoke with Noel Allen from the Bushwick Star. They have some exciting news that I believe they'll be sharing later this evening. And last, on Tuesday, March 16th, yesterday, Riseboro, their community affairs manager, Randall Toure, he hosted a Jefferson Street garden cleanup planning session. They have a garden on Jefferson Street. I don't have the cross streets noted here. However, they are planning to open this back up to the community and clean it up and make sure that it is the resource that it's always been for a new generation potentially. So if anyone would like information on that, please let me know. And that concludes my report this evening. Thank you very much. Questions? Going once, going twice. All right. Hearing none, we'll move on.
I just want to add that
yes.
In regards to your report, the people that are going out for the historical, we went out on Saturday and we gave out flyers, and some people were really interested in historical and preservation. So it was good. It was good to know we gave them flyers in regards to our next meeting. So there were a lot of people interested in it because they see what happened to Grove and Bushwick.
Thank you, Mr. Camacho. All right. If there's nothing else, we will move on to the next agenda item, which are our committee reports. I know Ms. Spellin wasn't able to be with us this evening for Civic, Public Safety, Religious. If there are any committee members that would like to provide a brief overview that are here this evening, now is the time. Going once, going twice. If there are no takers, I will just summarize and state that there was an informational meeting and it was attended by the mayor's office to end gender-based violence. So they provided an update on the resources that are available through the mayor's office. And what I can do is just pass along the information. Board members, you'll find more details within the meeting minutes. But I know that they had a brief discussion. And then they also discussed the Shape Up Bushwick event. In summary, for Shape Up Bushwick, we have proposed doing a food distribution. We know that the need is great in the neighborhood, so we are looking to coordinate that. It's going to be still at Irving Square Park. Sharon confirmed that the permit was put in today for, I see you, Sammy. I'm gonna just wrap up the report and I can let you comment. The permit was put in today and we will have it on Warefield Street between Knickerbocker and Wilson, as well as if it's a very long line, we will extend it on Knickerbocker between Warefield and Halsey. So basically looping around, closing off Warefield Street, for a few hours. And then of course, inviting any community partners to provide literature. And if they can be there, they would have to bring their own table and chair, but if they would like to be there socially distanced, we'll set them up so people can also take literature. Some of our usual partners like the New York Psychotherapy Counseling Center are joining us again. They're providing bags to put any materials or giveaways in. And we also have other folks, our committee chairpersons that are always involved, Miss Alvina Davis, who's been involved year after year. Thank you to all of you for your thoughts and feedback. And of course, thank you to Sharon for really stepping up and taking the lead on Shape Up Bushwick both this year and last year. It's definitely appreciated. Okay, Sammy, you had a comment?
Yeah, thank you. Just to follow up on the violence against women in North Brooklyn and general, based on the attacks on the subway and the new, rates on domestic violence, kind of to flag or highlight from your CB4 monthly emails, there is a flyer that talks about a program for people or women that wants to be volunteer for cases of domestic violence survivors, women who are being attacked. This program will pair people to go to the hospital or to other places to be a companion for those survivors. And they're still looking for people to sign up for that. You need to have transportation and have the interest and the time, but they will train you. Unfortunately, it's unpaid, but it is a great resource and very much needed. And that's something that the women who were attacking the subway said that would have liked, is to have some support during that process. So you can reach out to me or Celeste. It's on the email for anyone who knows that is interested in supporting this way. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Sammy. Any other questions, comments? I don't know if you wanted to add anything, Mr. Camacho. We good? Okay.
No, we're good. We're good.
All right. Moving on to our next committee report, Economic Development and Permits and Licenses. Desmond did let me know he needed to be excused this evening. So Melissa, I'm happy to let you go first and then summarize after you finish.
That works for me. I'm trying to get on, but okay, there we go. Sorry about that. Good evening, everyone. So the Economic Development and Permits and Licenses Committee met on Tuesday, the 9th, and just to top line go over the establishments that were up for review for the license. The first one was Door Door Gallery, which stopped by the previous board meeting located at 45 Irving Avenue, requesting for a beer and wine license. They're a gallery event space. Their hours are 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., 7 days a week. We had Cherry on Top located at 379 Saddam Street, new wine bar. The owners have previous experience owning establishments in the city, beer and wine only. They do have a rooftops included, and they did provide us with some drawings. They did mention to us that they will have no amplified sound outdoors. If anyone has any questions on the establishment, feel free to reach out to me or Celeste. This is right on the corner of Saddam and Wyckoff, which is already has a lot of life and a lot of movement happening. Then we saw Bushwick Friendship at 941 Willoughby Avenue. They're opening in the spring. Their desired hours were a bit interesting. It was 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. every day of the week on a residential block, which was, you know, a bit, I was taken back by that, but we talked through it with them, and they are interested in working with mutual aid groups and organizations in the community. Then we had Petrani Corp, which is located at 128 Central Avenue, the former Archie's. This owner has experience running a pizzeria business. They will be taking over the location and rehiring all of the former staff that was let go at Archie's, which is really beautiful to give people their jobs back. And their hours were also from 11 a.m. to 4 a.m., which was the hours from the previous establishment. Archie's. Cornelia Cafe at 5 to 3 Evergreen was an establishment that came to us a couple months ago, and they returned based on SLA's feedback, just requesting for us to modify their hours until 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday and 4 a.m. Friday to Saturday. So I can talk more about that once we get to recommendations, Celeste. And let me know if I missed anything.
All right, no, I think that that covers permits and licenses. And just to provide an overview of the economic development portion, we had invited the New York City Housing Authority. They have a team within NYCHA that was able to provide an update on Section 3 and MWBE hiring within the RAD program at Hope Gardens. So there was a presentation that they shared with us, and there were also a question and answer portion. I encourage all board members to take a look at the report, as it went quite into detail. As we all know, Desmond is a small business owner. You know, he's very aware of the technicalities. And I think that there was even some feedback that came from both Desmond and Mr. Camacho that really tried to hold NYCHA accountable, not just for hiring within the community, but of course, making sure that, right, we're seeing what PACT or what RAD is, right? You know, as a resource, as a tool, as an economic development engine within Bushwick. So I don't want to take too much time with the report this evening, but please take a look and read it. If anyone is interested in a copy of the presentation, whether you're a board member, member of the public, I'm happy to pass it along. All right. If there are no questions, going once, going twice, we'll move on to housing and land use. Anne, I know you have a lot to report on this evening.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all. Housing and Land Use Committee has had 2 meetings since last month's regular board meeting, one on February 23rd and one just on March 16th, which was a special meeting. Just there's so much going on that we had to schedule a second one. Also, Celeste and Mr. Camacho have both detailed in their respective reports a lot about what's going on with preservation. There is a growing group of people who are really focused, especially on Bushwick Avenue, but other parts of Bushwick as well. If that is something folks are interested in, please reach out to either me, Celeste, or Camacho, and we can connect you to the organizers of those groups. Also, 1325 Broadway, which is, you know, it's near and dear to all of our hearts in a lot of ways, that Miss Avalar Hansley's old garden and the idea of a 20-story as of right building going up on top of that. And I think, you know, we are still very much, as Celeste reported, trying to figure out what tools we have and to make sure that we are using every tool we have to the best of our ability. But that's, both of those are ongoing situations, and we'll just keep reporting every meeting. And again, if you have specific questions or just want to learn more, connect to one of the 3 of us and we will. So I'm going to start with the February 23rd meeting, which was 2 issues. There was an informational piece by Ramon Tebenito from Senator Salazar's office, and it was about the hardship declaration for small homeowners who are having trouble paying their mortgages for COVID-related reasons, either because they have lost income or they have tenants who have not been able to pay because of the, you know, the pandemic. And what this would do, as Ramon reported to us, would stop civil actions. Ramon explained that there wasn't a specific remedy yet, but it would stop. And the hope was that this would buy some time for legislative action at the state level, or, who knows, this was before the stimulus bill came through. So hopefully there are other tools that can be brought to bear, but it would stop any civil action until May. We can share with you the very specifics of that. Anybody who's interested, and we can send that out. So that was incredibly helpful, and I think it was an issue. A lot of people had a lot of questions about it. The second item was a 18 Stanwyck Street, right at Melrose and Jefferson. This was a Board of Standards and Appeal variance application. This is, for anyone who's familiar with it, it is right. It's that sort of right where Bushwick Avenue, Stanwyck's, Melrose. It's all it's a sort of triangular that corner. It's an unoccupied site, has been for about 20 years, I believe, according to the attorneys who presented, names of Todd Dale and Brenda Miller. And what they are applying for is a BSA variance to change it from M11, which is manufacturing, to R6A, which is residential. The argument, they are not applying for a zoning change, which they would have to go through ULURP for. And I think we're a lot more familiar with ULURP applications than we have been with the BSA variance applications, because what their argument is that they want to get an exemption for this project, not change the zoning on this site. And so that's why you go for a BSA variance application for just an exemption for a specific site, as opposed to changing in perpetuity going forward the zoning for that land. The argument is that it is historically residential, it's mixed up all around there, some of it's residential, some of it's manufacturing, and that it is too small to be economically viable as a residential, as a manufacturing or commercial site. So we had a lot of questions, as you might understand. So we asked about the possibility of having, well, could it be all manufacturing? And if not, could at least the ground level be manufacturing? The representatives, Todd Dale and Brenda Miller, said that they would go back to the owners, but they did not think that was viable. We did discuss the difference between variances and rezonings, and they explained their rationale on that. We then said, have you looked at the Bushwick Community Plan? Because the Bushwick Community Plan comes out pretty strongly against manufacturing to residential conversions. They had looked at the city's version, the Bushwick Neighborhood Plan. So we asked them to go back to look at that. There were also questions about affordability. Their response was it was too preliminary in their process to actually go into, to figure out things like that. They did reveal to us that their preliminary BSA hearing had been that morning, and that there would be a second hearing, a continuance of that. So in our discussions, we felt strongly that there is a precedent for sticking to our guns in terms of no M to R, as detailed in the Bushwick Community Plan. So we can go into that in the recommendations section. All right, then on to the March 16th meeting yesterday. So it was Asher Freeman and Annie Levers from Asher Freeman from Councilmember Reynoso's office, and Annie Levers from Council Speaker Corey Johnson's office. Asher just began the discussion at my request by framing the larger conversation around comprehensive planning, which is legislation which is outstanding in the City Council right now. The whole idea behind comprehensive planning, as I think we've mentioned it in a few previous meetings, is that instead of having individual communities either work on plans or respond to plans that the city presents to them, the city as a whole would develop a plan based on where is the need, where's the capacity, who has already had a lot of housing built, who hasn't had any, who has too much of one thing and not enough of the other. And so Asher framed this for us in terms of the Bushwick Community Plan and the idea that the Bushwick Community Plan was always supposed to be about much more than housing. It wasn't just zoning or housing, it was about wider community needs, infrastructure, parks, community health, and that had informed Councilmember Reynoso's thinking on the comprehensive planning legislation. Councilmember Reynoso, according to Asher, is a primary sponsor of this bill. So then Annie Levers just explained for us the whole process, what that would look like. And there were, as Celeste mentioned in her committee report, it was a huge amount of information to take in. There is a transcript of that March 16th meeting in the email. I definitely recommend folks read it, but what I would also like to do is send more of a bullet pointed version that's just a little easier to take in. We will also include the presentation from Annie Levers and Speaker Johnson's office, just so that we can start to all get our heads focused on this, because I think it's very important, and it is something that we will be asked to present our recommendations on in the next couple of months. But there are two interesting things that I just want to flag for people as you start to learn more about this, is that two important things they're going to be looking at are a displacement index, and it is basically, or the short version is looking at which neighborhoods increased development would threaten the existing community and population. And I think everybody in Bushwick realizes that we have seen incredible amounts of displacement, and that is something that we feel very strongly about, and maintaining our community and making sure that people can stay here. And the second thing was something called an access to opportunity index. Again, we have to learn a lot more about these, and as we learn more, we will share them. But the idea for that is that if you have a lot of transit, you have a lot of sort of good things as defined by the city, then you can take more development. So one of the questions that struck me is that another neighborhood, Soho, is fighting a rezoning, at least as I understand it, as I've been following in the newspapers. They score very high on the access to opportunity index and probably pretty low on the displacement index, which would mean that a community like Soho would be more likely to be targeted for development. We said, we have already had a lot of displacement, and we have seen a lot of housing get built here. So what would that look like for us? And while Asher and Annie were not able or willing to speak specifically to our community, what they both reiterated was that the plan in its current form would at least allow for, it would allow for communities that have rejected or have not had to take any of the burdens of development, that they would be higher on the list of priorities. So again, this is a longer conversation that we're going to be having. We will be sharing a lot more information. Definitely recommend reading the transcript if you have the time to do so. If you do not have the time to do so, please reach out to all of us. It was just a meeting on, it was yesterday. So it's still a lot going on in terms of figuring it all out. But if you have any questions, please do reach out. So that is the a bit rambling, but the committee report for housing and land use. If anybody has any questions about either meeting, fire away.
I want to comment in, Joshua Brown here.
Hello.
I want to just give context. Hi. Just with the Stanwix variance,
yes.
I want to give the whole community board context that
thank you.
We decided not to vote in support of that variance on the basis that since we don't have a current bushwick plan in place, we don't want to open the door to an avalanche of multiple developers coming requesting variances as somewhat of a step around to an actual formal bushwick development plan. So that's the
Thank
reason
you.
why bushwick denied that the board, the committee denied that variance, and moving forward, we will act in a similar manner until we get a formal plan.
Thank you, Joshua. I appreciate that. I was going to leave that for recommendations, but I'm glad that you brought that up because you were the one who very rightly pointed out in this that because, and I think, you know, the comprehensive planning, if that goes forward and the Bushwick Community Plan, you know, we were not able to go forward, I think we are going to see an avalanche of variances, just as you were saying. And that's a real issue that we need to be aware of and to be very watchful about that. So thank you for raising that.
Hello, and also, and also, Barbara, yeah, that's you.
Yeah. Do we have a lot of community people on this here meeting?
I'm sorry?
People on here besides just community board 4 members?
I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, I'm not hearing you very well.
I said, do we have a lot of community residents besides community board 4 members on this Zoom meeting?
We have about 20, Barbara. We have about 25 people. I haven't counted them, but yes, we have other people on the call aside from board members.
Yeah.
A lot of this that's going on, the community should have a lot of input in this.
Absolutely, 100%.
And it's, you know, she's going back and forth to the Bushwick plan, and this there on the table before, and then she's moving forward with something else. And she keeps saying we. The community board has to understand you can't keep saying we. When you say we, the community is thinking that it's the community board 4 only that's making these suggestions and these plans. You have to have the community's input on all of these decisions, and you say, oh, well, we're going to vote on it and stuff like that. But we have no outside people. That's one thing, especially with this. This is very important for Bushwick. All of this zoning and stuff that's going on now, you got to have some nay and yays from the community.
I could not agree more, Ms. Smith. When I say we, I'm speaking for the community board, and in light of meetings that we have had, I am not speaking as a past participant in the Bushwick Community Plan. I am speaking as a member of Community Board 4, and I'm speaking based on the discussions at the meeting. That's all. So that's the we I am talking about, and I hope that you understand that.
I understand what you're saying, but I'm saying we need a lot of community residents that's not on the board to hear and be in on these conversations. Since we start doing Zoom, we don't have a lot of community people participating. That's what I'm saying.
So what is actually exciting is that more and more people are starting to participate, both in the questions around 1325, and the questions around landmarking, and in the questions around we're having more and more people participate in the HLU meetings. What we have had a problem is when we have to have a special meeting, it's not on the regular schedule. We need to do more outreach for that. But at our regularly scheduled HLU meetings, we're having a pretty good participation from members of the community who are not on the community board. I think you are 100% right. I totally agree. And I think that we need to do more robust, stronger outreach. And you are always welcome, and everybody on the call. I believe there are 55 people I see as participants, and I hope every single one of them is able to come to the next HLU meeting on the 30th, because these are hugely important issues, and I think that everybody needs to participate in them.
Yeah, you have to have other people besides the board.
I totally agree.
May I, Barbara, yes, what it is, there were 25 people there, but in regards to the recommendation, only the committee can vote on them. They brought we brought their info, they brought everything, and that's what was said there. Only when it came to the vote in regards to the committee. You can make your say, you can, and once the committee makes a recommendation, then that's how the procedure went.
So
In regards to making a recommendation, I'm not, they can bring input, they could talk, they could say, and then they made it, the board committee made a recommendation.
Yeah. And so just, there's a question in the chat regarding all of this, and I want to address it and say a few other comments. So the question is, if there are 25 community members in this call, why does it only show up as though I'm the only attendee? So attendees have limited access to some of the features that panelists have access to. So if you're an attendee, you won't be able to control your video or sound, and we do that to better manage the meeting and to avoid having to deal with a lot of technical issues. We already have about 40 I would say 43 board members, I believe, at this point. So it's very difficult for one person, myself, to manage behind the scenes, making sure that folks are muted, and of course, running the rest of the meeting. So we chose this format, and that's why it may look like that. So, but we do have 54 people. When we did our first roll call, there were 28 board members present. So if you do the math, that the remainder are members from the public. And I just want to say thank you. This includes agency representatives, community-based organizations. You're all taking the time. And I want to also acknowledge that meetings aren't a possibility for everyone. And so we want to find a way to make sure that we get the feedback regardless of whether or not someone can come to a meeting. If you can make it, we encourage you to make it. And I do want to say, as someone who is in the majority of committee meetings, we do have increased public participation. Some folks just choose to listen in. But as was the case on Monday, we had folks actively asking questions, and I really appreciate it because we're getting a deeper perspective. And I think that for some folks, we know it's easier doing a virtual meeting, but we also know it's difficult for others. So my suggestion, board members, you are all ambassadors for the community board. Encourage people to join our email list, but also if there are seniors that we know that don't have access to a computer, please give me their name and their number, and I will add them to a call list, and I will personally call them every month and give them the access information, as I do for some of our board members. Absolutely.
And I would like to second that. Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Smith, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'm done.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think that's, no, you raised very important points, and I absolutely encourage everyone on this call, whether you are a member of the board or not, whether you're a member of the Housing and Land Use Committee or not, to join the next meeting on the 30th and all meetings going forward. If you have questions about landmarking, about 1325 Broadway, about the comprehensive plan, about 18 Stanwicks, and about sort of any of our processes, I can put my number in the chat, my email, whatever you prefer. Let me stick it, I'll stick it in the Q&A. Please reach out, send a text or whatever, and we want to make sure that these are as open as possible to everyone.
We also have on the newsletter, this is open to everyone that wants to go to any committee. We also put every committee and the day the committee's there, and we put it all on a newsletter. And if you go on there, you get on a link, you have to register and they'll open up. If not, you can call the community board office at 718-628-8400, and you can join any committee meeting. Nobody stops you. Everybody can join in. Only thing you can't do is vote on the thing. So that's it. Thank you.
All right. And I just had one other comment, and as it relates to HLU, and this is for your feedback, actually, I can share the Thriving Communities Coalition FAQ if you think that that would be a helpful summary for folks.
I think it is the Thriving Communities summary, just to give a little context on what Celeste just mentioned. It's a group of community organizations that we have worked with. It's Communities Resist, like Bruno and Greg, a lot of the housing lawyers that have come before the community board. It is ANHD, who are planning professionals. It is it's a consortium, I believe about 20 organizations around the city who are working on these issues, and they have come up with a 3-page sort of explainer of, you know, what makes sense about this and questions that they have. I think it's a really good distillation of some of the issues that, and that would be great. Thank you, Celeste.
Of course. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Going once, going twice? Hearing none. I have Youth and Education, Virgie Jones. Virgie, are you there? You look, it looks as though you're muted. All right. I'm not sure if Virgie's having a sound issue. So I was not at the youth, well, I was at part of the Youth and Education Committee meeting, but I can try to summarize until Virgie can join us. The meeting was held on February 22nd. The committee invited the leadership for our high schools, both the executive superintendent of all high schools for North Brooklyn, as well as our local superintendent, that's Karen Watts, and Janice Ross joined us. And they provided a really extensive presentation on how they framed learning and, of course, their COVID response during these times and what exactly is happening in our high schools. The committee requested information as it relates to attendance, you know, as it relates to COVID, you know, as it relates to learning, and they were able to summarize within this presentation. And I have to say, I was sad to have to go in the middle of the meeting because it was just getting to a point where I was like, wow, you know, we don't hear from our high schools as often as we hear from, you know, our elementary and middle schools. And that, you know, we only have, I believe, 6 high schools within the district. However, we know it's so important to build those relationships. You know, they've always been responsive whenever we have issues, but we know that it's easier, right, for us to do the work that we need to do to support our parents, you know, parts of this community, and vice versa, right? Making sure that the board is able to advocate for our schools, for our high schools, and for our students, right? The future, the next generation. So I know that they had an extensive conversation about those priorities, and of course, COVID response and all the health guidelines and the changes that the schools have had to go through with learning. I encourage everyone to take a look at the report. And I want to thank Virgie in particular as a committee chairperson for taking the time to review her report, you know, working with Sharon. I want to thank Sharon as well for her work on her assigned committees and for this report. And I know Virgie usually has some other updates as it relates to her activities for the committee. I don't have a list of those to share, so I don't want to misspeak, but perhaps she'll be able to fix the sound by the time we get to announcements.
Can you hear me now, Celeste?
Oh, yes, thankfully. Yes, go ahead, Virgie.
I am sorry. Good evening, everyone, and thank you, Celeste, for filling in for me. And like you said, the report, we had a good meeting with the high schools, and kudos to Karen Watts, who's the executive superintendent. And as you were saying, so I'm just going to go over the goals that they were talking about that they had.
Sure.
And goal 1 is to ensure that all work is accomplished through patience, understanding, and flexibility, and with critical love, equity, and social justice. And that's what their mantra is: critical love. To ensure blended and remote model leadership expertise at all levels, and also to ensure that all students will graduate in 4-year college and career readiness. And that's in alignment with the district's Operation College and Career Ready. And the last one is to provide feedback, digital, to all the resources, which they do an excellent job of providing resources through empowering partnerships with community stakeholders, families, and students. And they also went over some of the programs the events that they had coming up, and most of them have passed, and I was able to attend some of them. They talked about graduation and attendance, and they thanked everyone. And I brought up a question about guidance counselors, because I know normally there's only one guidance counselor in the elementary and the middle schools. And they said that what they're getting additional guidance counselors, social workers, and the parent coordinators, and they're meeting with them at least once a month. And also some of the schools are bringing in social workers intern, furthering lowering the ratio of students who need guidance and support. And I think that's an excellent idea. Then we asked a question about how many middle school students go to the high schools in District 32, which they were not able to provide an answer for us on that. I don't know if we've received one yet. And they talked about college Office of Post-Secondary Readiness. There was a question about the college, and they're working closely with that. And then Martha did a wonderful presentation of us on the School Construction Authority, and that was their January 12th, I believe, meeting. And she brought up a nice overview of some of the projects that have been done in the schools, the air conditioning, computer upgrades, new cafeterias. And we all agreed that we strongly are requesting our elected officials to, help us with the funding of these projects, which they are on a tight budget and things of that nature. For announcement, Martha talked about the CEC meeting, which will be the next day. I'm sorry, it was the day after our meeting of our community board meeting. And that was on Contract for Excellence, which I was able to attend. And also the Association for Black Educators of New York, they're offering a Human Service Award, and that's available to all public, elementary, and middle and high school students eligible. And I did get that out to them today. And secondly, Albany is not having an annual luncheon, but if you want to get information on scholarships, you can go to their website. It's www.abenyinc.wildapricot.org. And our meeting adjourned at 7:36, and we thank all that took the time to come to our meeting. And once again, thank Sharon for the work that she's doing with us collaboratively. Thank you, Celeste.
Thank you, Reggie Jones, because without you, those people, the superintendents, all of them, they all come to the meeting and they all give us a report in regards to our kids and what's going on with our kids and what's going on with the education and what's the status in regards to funding and issues that they may have. And they've been right on point, man. So I want to thank you and all you do for helping us work with our kids and make sure that we get the best, our kids get the best education. That's like everywhere else.
Thank you. And it's about the critical love. Thank you, Mr. Kamaki.
Right. So I do have a request from one of our elected official representatives. I'm not sure what it's regarding, but they did ask to speak. Okay, yeah, just one moment. Let me...
8 o'clock.
Yeah, yes. One moment. Jeanette, you should be able to unmute. Yeah, you're unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Hi, I was just listening to all the information that you guys are providing and giving, and I see the hard work that you guys are doing. And as I can see, you guys are just not committed with the community, but you guys are passionate and doing stuff really like from the heart. I see the love that you guys put in, the effort that you guys are putting in each service that you guys are providing and information. So I just wanted to say congratulations. I am very proud to have people in the community of District 37 like you guys. This is a tremendous board. Congratulations and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, so moving us along, if there are no other questions as it relates to youth and education, going once, going twice. Okay, that closes out our committee reports this evening, and we'll go into recommendations. So I believe we have both a recommendation from Housing and Land Use regarding 18 Stanwicks, as well as our recommendations from permits and licenses. And I don't believe I've missed any others, but if I did, please forgive me and we can discuss them now. Recommendations. Anne?
Sure. Or Melissa, do you want to go first? You're first in line, but if not, I'm happy to go forward.
Either or, go for it, Anne.
Okay. So our recommendation, as Joshua started to explain, and maybe I'll make the recommendation, but I think Joshua, you made the original, you raised this in the meeting, and I think that you did it really eloquently just before. So I'd like to hand it over to you after that. But our recommendation is to not give a letter of support in terms of this variance for 18 Stanwyck Street. Off to you, Joshua.
I will upheld the committee's recommendation to not allow a variance for the property at Stanwyck's, and that's that.
If I may, this is Celeste, everyone, and I know I mentioned this. I wasn't there during this part of the meeting, but just for some context and a suggestion for the committee members to consider. I know earlier in the meeting it was discussed, one, that this individual should review the Bushwick Community Plan. They had failed to do that. And then also that there was a question if they had considered putting manufacturing on their ground floor. And if I recall correctly, they said that they hadn't looked into it, but that they could. So just being mindful of the four options, when the community board just says no, it basically doesn't come with any other guidance or mechanism to really provide the, BSA or this applicant with any feedback. So they may kind of squeeze past accountability when we know that those are things that we or the committee really discussed. So just food for thought. I don't know if that was discussed at all, but I just wanted to put that out there.
It was actually, thank you, Celeste. I think that's some important context. There are a couple things that we did discuss, that the BSA is, a variance of the BSA is not like ULURP. There is no formal role for the community board in this process. The BSA is going to decide it. We can give a letter in support or a letter against, but that is not necessarily going to hold tons of weight. I think it's important that we express our opinion on this, but we should know that it's different from the ULURP process. So we did talk about that. We also talked about the fact we had asked them about affordability and about putting in manufacturing. None of that those would be optional things on the part of the owner/developer, not things that could be put into the approval of the variance, again, because it's a slightly different process. And then I think the point that Joshua made that was so compelling to the committee, and if other committee members just want to weigh in with some context, please do, is that in the lack of a sort of clear guidance going forward for zoning in this community or any changes to it, we are going to get a lot of variance applications, and that the Housing and Land Use Committee in our discussion said that we should stick to our guns, that for a variance for manufacturing to a residential, while we recognize, of course, the owners, that is their right to do, to make changes to their property, that if they are asking us for our approval, we don't necessarily have to give it. So I think that was some context. Mr. Camacho, you played this part in this conversation.
Yes, if it's fair to say that we choose no M to R.
Exactly.
I agree.
So if you want to put that on there as one of the reasons why we're saying no is that because Bushwick needs jobs, and no, they indicate that they said that they would see, but they know, then they say that they don't have room to do or think. You can do manufacturing. It can be done, and you can do housing. So I feel that we should stick to our guns and what we want, and let the chip fall where they may fall, because they're gonna know that we're gonna set a precedent that we said no M to R, and that's basically it.
And again, it's the BSA variance process is not like the standard ULURP, rezoning process. They're different mechanisms and they have different ways of, approval processes. But I think that's important.
We could say no because we're requesting no M to R.
And one of the things, just for the wider conversation here, one of the arguments was the site was too small to be economically viable. So we had a big conversation about that, and we said, let's get more information about that. Let's reach out to Evergreen Exchange, who works with manufacturers in the community to explain to us what is economically viable and what is not, so that we can be better informed on those issues, and then judge things for ourselves. So that was part of the conversation as well. Obviously is not necessarily part of the recommendation, but we'll share that information as we get it as well.
And I'll just note that the BSA did reach out to us on this, asking for the board's recommendation. So they do want to hear from the board.
Okay, good. So, Joshua?
I wanted to comment just to echo what Ann and Camacho said. We denied the variance based on Bushwick's policy of not supporting projects that convert land from M to R, because that's our blanket policy that's currently in place. So our reasoning is simply the policy that the community has agreed to.
I second that recommendation.
Oh, okay. All in favor?
Okay.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you, everyone. All right, permits and licenses. Melissa.
Thank you, Celeste. So try to be brief. The first item for recommendation is the establishment Door Gallery located at 45 Irving Avenue. The committee's recommendation is for the establishment to comply with the stipulation of no sales of alcohol after 12 a.m. on Sundays. Hours are as is, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Not too controversial on that end, so everything is okay. Then for Cherry on Top at 379 Saddam Street, this is the wine bar located right on that Wyckoff corner, near that corner. The committee recommends for the hours to be for Friday through Saturday up until 2 a.m. and then Sunday through Thursday 1 a.m. with no sales of alcohol past midnight on Sunday, and also with the agreement of no amplified music outdoors. And moving down on the list, we have Bushwick Friendship LLC located at 941 Willoughby Avenue. And the committee is recommending for the hours of 4 p.m. to 2 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and Friday and Saturday 4 p.m. 4 a.m. And this is just keeping in mind they're in the corner of that dead end on Myrtle and Evergreen. So it's like primary residential. You already have Birdies and other bars within 500 feet. So we want to also be mindful of that and of our neighbors, and also within agreement of the board stipulation of no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sunday. Next, we have Petrani Corp. at 128 Central Avenue, the former Archie's. Hours of Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. Apologies. And then Friday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. And with the agreement of no sales of alcohol past 12 a.m. on Sundays. And last on our list, we have Cornelia Cafe, located at 523 Evergreen Avenue. The owner asked, and SLA reached out to the office for a modification in the hours. And the committee recommended the hours of Sunday through Thursday until 2 a.m., Friday and Saturday to 4 a.m. Also with the agreement, no bands, DJs, and no use of the subwoofer in their stereo system. which was also explicit in the meeting that they came to in December. And that sums up the recommendations for the committee.
Anne?
Sure. I can't remember the address, but the one with the rooftop bar, are the hours for the bar, the outdoor bar, the same as the inside? Because I think, wasn't that Wyckoff and Sudam? Was that it?
Yes, that's the one,
Okay.
379 Saddam Street. Yes.
379 Sudam. Okay. Because there's a lot of residential right around there. So if there's a rooftop bar open till 2, I would flag that.
Yeah, I think we have here in the notes, I'm looking at the notes, we have here that they agreed to no amplified music outdoors, and then also to work with the board on, any noise complaints going forward. I know during the committee, and we discussed having them open until 12 p.m. rather than the 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. And also, being mindful of neighbors, being mindful of the noise that might spill out from the outdoor rooftop.
The only thing I would is, but if, sorry. Well, I guess, and this is a question for you since you've been running this committee for, has that ability to say work with people after the fact, after we grant them the license, has that been as effective as just sort of putting stipulations at the beginning? But I defer to your experience on that.
I can speak to this, or go ahead, Melissa.
Go for it, Celeste. Yeah.
Okay. So I would say recently, and it could be related to the pandemic, although we do have one example of a bar that was, essentially causing a lot of issues for a particular resident. This person notified us. It was a non-issue once restaurants basically closed again for in-person dining. But once they announced that restaurants were going to reopen, they were very concerned, and they didn't know what the hours for the backyard were going to be. There was no specific stipulation on this backyard. They had been closing, I think, prior to the pandemic, probably like 11 o'clock to midnight. And it was incessant. So this person had asked, like, what is the time? When are they closing? Is it going to be 11? Is it going to be 10? I reached out to the owner and I let them know what was going on. Got back to me right away. And they said, they wish that the person would have reached out to them, which we understand why that doesn't happen sometimes. But basically, it was faster than some of the other responses that I've gotten. Granted, this is one person. Some people aren't as polite and willing to work with the board, but they did actually come to the board like semi-recently, like within the past year. So I think that there could have been a willingness just based on previous conversations. But certainly not everybody does that, right? Some people will just say, oh, my license says this, I don't care. Granted, they don't say it just like that, but it's more of the tone of their response and just, but I think we've seen a little bit of improvement in terms of folks wanting to work with us. And we always suggest some of the tools from the Office of Nightlife now, which include the MEND program, which is supposed to be designed specifically to help, right, residents that are having issues with these establishments. And that's when they will step in. Like if we're not effective, then the Office of Nightlife will step in and try to mediate, like with mediation, like real mediation tools, a solution.
Yeah, just to add on to that, Celeste, I know that the folks over at Cherry on Top did share with us that they're willing to work with the board if the noise did become an issue, right? And they shared also the drawings, etc. I don't know how helpful those would be, like that kind of wall that they're creating for them and the building next door, but having them own previous businesses and also just share all of that with us. It's something I think worth talking about in our next meeting, so we can set maybe a stipulation or something, an agreement going forward with any businesses having rooftops or outdoor spaces. I think it's something worth talking about. Yeah.
All right.
Could I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
Do you have a lot of applications with rooftop?
No. This is probably the first one in the last, I would say, 2 years, and probably just because of the pandemic that people have been doing sidewalk, and outdoor stuff now. Besides that, it has not been something common. It's very rare.
Because I'm getting a lot of complaints about sidewalks because they with the tables outside, it's a hassle for if you're renting the space downstairs and over your establishment people live, the tables are blocking the entrance to the building.
Mm.
And the tenants are getting kind of, hostile because when they come home, they got to tell whoever's sitting at tables, excuse me, so they could get through their door. So we're getting a couple of complaints about that, so I was wondering, and do you have any complaints about rooftop, but these sidewalks, this is a lot going on with the sidewalk. And you know what I think? It should be a way to say 20 feet from the person's doorway to put your table. Because we know these people are trying to make money. It's been a hardship, but they cannot stop the people that live in the building for having a quality of life too. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of hard for everybody.
Thank you, Barbara.
Yeah.
I appreciate that feedback. I would love to know the establishment that's having issues with people getting, to their home without having to bump into any tables or chairs. I know that the committee has done their job of looking at, drawings outside, what that looks like, that there's enough square footage between people, that there's enough pathway for them to make it home and to actually walk, down the street without any problems. So I think it would be great to know the business and just figure out what we can do to support them and
Yeah,
support
because
our neighbors.
sometimes they do it upon their own selves too,
Yeah.
And that's what they do. Once they start having people at their tables outside, they don't care about the entrance to the building.
Yeah.
There's enough people sitting down to have a good time, so
Yeah. We'll get the address, get the place, and we'll make sure that we'll check out that they don't do that, and we'll let them know that they can't block the front of the apartments where people gotta go in.
Yeah, so that's a problem, so I think I had gave Celeste one from St. Nicholas. This
Yeah.
was a while back. Yeah.
It was a while back ago. We spoke directly to the I believe it was Gordo's Cantina. I spoke directly to the owners, and since we put in that information, I have not heard back. I believe the person who was complaining to us about that specific location ended up moving anyways. I went by personally twice, once on a Friday night, once on a Saturday night, just to get a better sense after we spoke to them to make sure it wasn't just like lip service. And there wasn't anyone while I was passing by there that was audibly speaking very loud. It was very calm. So it was also getting colder. So we know with the warmer weather, folks are going to be out, they're going to want to talk. But we have to take complaints as they come in. So absolutely, if we hear of any locations, we always contact them directly and give them a chance. And if not, there are regulations. DOT will send an inspector. And if the regulations aren't corrected, they may get a violation, so.
Okay. Oh, yeah, and I want to make a comment to our chairperson of the liquor license. Last meeting, you made a comment. You said you have a lot of Mexican restaurants opening up. But let me tell you, 9 years ago, that nationality was the one that started the liquor license because they came to the board wanting to serve wine and beer in their establishment. And there was so many people coming to the board that they didn't even decide to open up a committee to handle them. So it's not like they're just opening up. They're the ones that opened the door from the beginning. It's amazing how many that came to us just to have wine and beer with their food. So it's amazing how the tables have turned.
There's a lot of feedback in the background. Again, a reminder for Zoom meeting etiquette, WebEx meeting etiquette. Just please mute yourself when you're not speaking so we don't have to hear the feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's amazing, how they were so humble when they came to us to serve wine and beer like 8-9 years ago. And now look, they were pushed to the side. Now they're opening up bigger spots. Before it was like a little storefront something to have wine and beer. And it was so many people that came, and it was wonderful that we had to start the liquor license committee, on the board. That's how it got started. I'm finished.
Thank you, Barbara. So
You're welcome.
if there are no other comments or questions about the recommendation, going once, going twice, may I suggest a blanket vote to cover all recommendations for establishment?
We will have to vote to do a blanket vote.
Yep. So is there a motion for a blanket vote?
I, Melissa Carrera, motion for a blanket vote.
A second?
Second.
Thank you, Raul. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
I'm sorry, who is that?
Joanna Bennett.
Thank you, Joanna. I marked you as abstaining. So moved. All right, moving on. Is there a motion for the committee recommendation?
I motion to vote on the Permits and Licenses Committee's recommendations.
Is there a second?
A second. This is Gaudi.
Thank you, Gaudi. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So moved. Thank you, everyone. All right. Are there any other recommendations this evening?
Nope.
Okay. Moving us along to old business. Is there any old business? Going once, going twice. New business?
Yes, Les, I have a question. This is me, Barbara.
Go for it.
Go for our elected officials. With this primary coming up, when are they going to send out information letting us know about this blanket vote, this ranked voting?
Okay. It's a good question.
The ranked choice voting?
Right. There's nothing been given out letting us know how is it going to be? And as a poll worker, there's confusion with normal voting. So this is going to be something different. So a lot of confusion. So I'm asking the elected officials, what are they doing?
Don't that come from the district leader or something?
Yeah. Hi, this is District Leader Sammy Nemir Olivares. So we're doing a lot of things. We sent a letter this week to Rodney's Pepe Bebois, who is the commissioner of the Board of Election, asking precisely this: what training and how our poll workers are going to be trained to being educated about ranked choice voting. And they responded that we're basically pressuring them because we don't see as much movement required for something that is so historic and consequential. So we're pressuring for training, so the trainings are better for poll workers. Assemblywoman Marisa Davila is the female district leader, and I'm the other district leader. We will be working to the list of our poll workers to make sure that they understand the new system, ranked choice voting, as well. In the next 3 months, we will be doing public forums to educate the community about how ranked choice voting work for the voters. So both working with workers and working with the voters, but agree, we feel that the city is not doing enough. But there's a lot of bills and push for elected officials to the Board of Election to increase the budget and make sure that they are announcing and educating the public. They have already started doing radio spots and TV and other newspaper education, but of course it's not enough because of COVID. And we expect that they also will be sending mailers closer to the election with information on how to work. So I will be, as a district leader, doing forums in Bushwick about that. So look out for that.
But I don't think you should wait so close to the primary.
Yeah.
They need to be informed now because you have a lot of seniors that do get out and vote. So you can wait 2 weeks before the primary and say, oh, this is how we're going to do it. No.
And
You're doing something
37.
Agree, and we send them. We contact the commissioner directly, and because we're not satisfied with their response, we are actually gonna escalate our tactics, and we might be sending a public letter or other measures necessary. So agree, it's too late. Actually, they need to start doing it now.
Right, because I haven't received anything. Oh, yes, I did, but I received it from Age Friendly. An Age Friendly group sent me information, but I haven't gotten anything else.
Okay, so we'll see if we can get someone because we really need our people really need education in regards to this new procedure that's going on, and not only the 53rd, the 54th too, because we have an election in the 54th, and they're gonna give it at the end when everybody don't know how to do it, and the people that want us. Or that need us, and we need the representation. You're gonna have people that are not gonna be in regards to our agenda and push our agenda. They're gonna go with their own personal agenda. So we really need to follow up on that. Follow up and find out what's the status in regards with people sending stuff early and not at the time when people have to vote that they don't know, because that's what they normally do when they want to sneak in their Goombas or whatever it is. We'll find out
Camacho,
about
I
that.
think
Thank you. Let's move.
If the board agrees, I think we can invite the Board of Election or a non-partisan organization that can give a small presentation before the June primaries as well.
Sounds good. Sounds
Community
good.
board. I can connect, so I will share some resources.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank you. And so is there any other new business board members? Okay, I do have a question here in the Q&A, so I'm not sure if this individual from the public would like to speak on it, but I wanted to make sure it was addressed. I'll read the question and then I'll give them, if the board says it's okay, an opportunity to speak on it. The question is, where can we express, one moment please, just a reminder to please mute. Hold on one second. All right, where can we express concerns about garbage and cleanliness in front of businesses and trash bins? My children, 2 and 4, comment every single day we walk outside and how do we not take care of our earth? Then ask, why is everything so dirty? So this is coming from a member of the public. I'm not sure if they would like to speak a little bit more on this, but just to give them the opportunity, is that okay with the committee briefly, or the board, excuse me? Yeah. Okay, one moment. And my apologies if I mispronounce your name, either Adia or Adia. I'm going to mute you now. You should be able to speak.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just asking because I live near Myrtle and Knickerbocker in that area, and I've been here for almost 2, almost going on 3 years, and it's just really, the trash is the bus stop in front of the stores when I'm walking with my children, like, it's pretty gross. And I lived in other neighborhoods and I've seen other businesses in other neighborhoods, and it's not as dirty, for the lack of a better way to describe it. And I just want to know, what can we do, or what can I do to for business owners, or I don't know who handles that, where they're cleaning the area for our children? Because I mean, you walk outside and it's just disappointing. So yeah,
If you know locations and places, we normally like to educate, because storefronts are supposed to be cleaning 18 inches over the curb, and they're supposed to be doing their due diligence. If they're not, then we will educate them first, and then they should be getting summonses. And that's what they should be getting, because it's not fair that the storefronts should be dirty, and we shouldn't be looking dirty, just like you say, like any other community. And sometimes we see ourselves, our own people, instead of putting the stuff in the can, and they throw it in the floor. So we've been witnessing that too. So we really,
the cans they're so full that there's just all over. It's like not.
If you have a location, give us the location.
Between Bleecker and Knickerbocker, it's disgusting.
Okay.
And then and then Knickerbocker, that next where the right before the Met Foods, it's like the train station right that it's like between a restaurant. I don't know if that building's abandoned, but it's like bird. It looks infested, and I'm just like, and then we have to walk.
We have gotten several complaints. We went to MTA. They put the net, but you know that there are people sitting there feeding the birds, the pigeons, when they're not supposed to be feeding the pigeons. So
That's on the corner.
That's
But
right
I'm
there
talking
on
about
the
in the middle
corner.
of the block, like
That's
in the
on
middle,
the
like
corner where Tony has his new restaurant. Right
no,
across
not
the
that.
street.
Yes.
I know where it's at, by the plaza. By the store and the restaurant, the new restaurant that they opening.
Yeah. That area. Yes, for sure.
Yes, I know. I'm there all the time. I seen it. I know. We'll take care of it.
Yeah. And so thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna
the city bank that's right on the corner.
Right.
I mean, it's almost like I my property manage the building I live in. So I clean the front of our building, and I get frustrated because I'm like, wait, how are we getting a ticket for a cup? And Citibank has like trash all over, and it's just not being cleaned. I guess they can afford it. I can't, but yeah, if there's something that can be done, we walk by those corners every day with my kids.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you. And just for folks to know, whenever you have issues like this, you can always contact us in the board's office. I wanted to give her a moment to speak just because she's waited throughout the meeting. But absolutely, we continue working with sanitation, the sanitation working group to address this particular area, sanitation enforcement. But what can community members do? Speak to your elected officials. Let them know this is important. Make sure that they know, right, that they need to fund sanitation to be able to do the work, right? We are seeing the impact of budget cuts. We are seeing the impact of so many things, and often we don't know what's going on, but we can tell when we notice garbage isn't being collected. So I know we've gotten a lot of complaints within the last several weeks. There have been some slowdowns. So just being mindful of all of that. Please let us know when you have a problem. We will pass it along, and we will continue to put pressure and of course support sanitation to have the resources they need to do the job. Okay, if there's no other new business, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is announcements. A minute and a half. I believe all of our elected officials, you should be able to unmute yourselves. I'll just go through the list and then you tell me if you have anything, you can go. I have Andres Aguirre. Do you have anything, Andres?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Thank you. Harris Khan.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Mr. Chair, for calling this home. Definitely feels like it after today. And we'll be here attending these meetings. And in that spirit, you mentioned there was some talk about ranked choice voting. And I know in other community boards I cover, the Campaign Finance Board and other agencies have done presentations for board members. And even that is not enough. We totally understand that in our office that the outreach has been lacking. But I know the district leader mentioned he will reach out, but if we can also play a role in that, or if you think that's necessary, we're always here to help make those connections possible.
The more the
yeah,
merrier.
the more the merrier. Or I'll contact the district leader. We'll do it together. But yes, I actually do these trainings myself in the weekends in my personal capacity for some Democratic club that I'm part of, and it's definitely very important to understand and to figure it out because, like you said, the people who will understand this will be at an advantage versus those who don't. And then in terms of controller and the work we're doing, I'm going to drop in the chat our community newsletter for spring. It highlights some of the work we've done to respond to this pandemic. It talks about food insecurity, the need to make community colleges tuition free, and also we've supported a call to move that forward to all four-year colleges as well. There's a bill in the state called the New Deal for CUNY. We've also called for tax breaks and tax incentives for small businesses that are in high corridors, the major corridors throughout our city. When those corridors go dark, that leads to public safety risks and also hurts our neighborhoods. And we've also divested $4 billion from our pension funds, and that's the largest divestment in the world. So I'll share that in the chat, and I'll also share our MWBE University series. We just announced that last week, and that's part of our work to support small businesses. It's a year-long programming series, a bunch of different workshops. I myself will be attending several because government contracting isn't something I'm too familiar with, so I encourage anybody interested to feel free to attend those and participate in those. And language translation will be available, I believe, in 10 or 11 languages for that. And if there's others that are not, you could also let us know. And I'll drop both of these into the chat. And as always, feel free to reach out if there are any issues we can assist with. And I'll definitely follow up on that ranked choice.
Thank you. All right, next, Julio.
Yeah, and also read the
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Celeste, and thank you to the board. Just a quick update. One thing I'd want to share is the Congresswoman's office is still working remotely. So I do urge anyone to please feel free to reach out to my email if you guys are having any issues or concerns with any federal programs or agencies. But I do want to say, with the American Rescue Plan signed into law not just a few days ago, I'll spare you the details on a lot of it because there's a lot, but made progress on the front of stimulus checks, earned income tax credit, child tax credits, SNAP benefits, and it includes money for cities and state governments. And some of that money is, of course, going to go to some of the issues that has been discussed here. We're talking about sanitation, we're talking about law enforcement, and in the areas of quality of life. You know, that's where that money is directed to. That's what that's for, to help cities and help states fill in that gap that they need to provide that quality of life. But I would say a lot of information is posted on the Congresswoman's website. Again, it was a big bill, a big package, so there's a lot of details. But I just wanted to share that with you. If you are having issues with the latest stimulus check, if you're a non-filer, please contact me if you don't receive even in the next few days. We can help you guys as soon as possible. Thank you, Celeste, and please feel free to reach out to the Congresswoman's office.
Thank you. Marcus? Are you there, Marcus?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hit the mute button too many times. Everyone, just FYI, just on Wednesdays, Borough President's Office, Borough President Adams will be doing Wellness Wednesdays. This coming Wednesday, actually next Wednesday, and the following week, there will be a focus on dementia. So those people who are caretakers or know someone who's experiencing that, you can join the Wellness Wednesday. You can go to brooklyn-usa.org for the information. Also, just as a reminder that the IRS tax deadline has been extended to May 17th instead of April 15th. So just so those of you who are trying to get that, we're trying to work. Normally, we have people do tax preparation in our office. We're trying to see how that can be done at this time. So I'll be able to give you more information a little later. I'll send it to Celeste and Mr. Camacho. Excuse me. Second, one of the last things I have is just, we also have a parent university. If you go to parentu.schools.nyc, there's classes and stuff for parents that they can take. Last thing is just, I want to make sure that we understand, this is March, it's Women's History Month, and so definitely want to celebrate all of our women. But also it's Colon Cancer Awareness Month. And most of you know that 4 years ago at the age of 37, I got diagnosed with colon cancer. So we just want to make sure that even in the midst of the pandemic, people are still checking their health and making sure that they're following up with their doctors to make sure that they're safe. That's it for me.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Jeanette?
Yep. And please, when you're gonna do the taxes, please, we want to wear masks. We want to get the shield in front to protect, because now what they want you to do is do an appointment. They want you to give you their personal stuff. You give it to them, and then they will do it. People not dropping off no taxes and they miss papers, or God forbid something goes wrong. Then the spots that were for free, that's what they're doing, and people are not dropping them things off. I wouldn't
No,
drop
and
my.
yeah,
That's
and
a problem.
I'm with you. I work in the building, and I still wouldn't want to drop off my personal information and leave it with anyone. So
Yeah,
that's
but that's the point.
one of the trials we're trying to get over right now. The hurdle.
That's why some of our seniors, the people that are retired that own a home, they're saying, I'm not dropping that off over there because I don't know if I'm gonna get my paper back or they filed the wrong thing. You want to work with the person right there and then, make sure everything is done.
And that's the way it should be done. But we'll do that. Oh, and I'm sorry, I did forget. I did mention about Broadway and Ralph and Lexington Avenue. As far as the crosswalk, DOT has said that they're putting it on their schedule. I'm just waiting to follow up to see. As you guys know, I'm on the other side of Broadway, so
That's right.
but I still go to the supermarket, so I do see that intersection. So we're just waiting to hear back from them.
Great. Thank you,
All right,
Mark.
great. Quick question, Marcus. Joshua here. Hey, Marcus,
Joshua.
when is Borough President coming to see CB for? I'm following up from my March question.
Oh, you know what? That's a great question. I know we were supposed to do it earlier, and I apologize. I was supposed to follow up, and I do apologize. I will put that request in and ask him if April is a good one. I want to get him as much time as possible so that way we can put it on the calendar.
All right. Thank you, Marcus.
No problem.
Great. And next I have Jeanette. One moment. Oh, I don't see her anymore. That's okay. We'll move on to our community-based organizations. If I miss you, just let me know. I have
Celeste?
yes.
Are you closing announcement or are you?
No, I'm just moving on to the other folks that have announcements on my list.
Okay, I have one at the end. Okay, thank you.
Okay, no problem. I'll put you on there, Sammy. Noel from Bushwick Star, are you still there? You should be able to unmute yourself. Yeah.
I am. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, just wanted to let everyone know, I started to say this prematurely earlier in the meeting, but the Star lost its space earlier this year, and we have been undergoing a process of finding a new home for the theater. And I'm happy to say we've found a location at 419 Eldert. It's a dead-end block right off of Wyckoff. We are just, now undergoing the long process of, now that we've gotten a deed there of building a new theater, and it'll take a while, but I wanted to just announce to the board that has happened, that we'll be undergoing this move, and we'll certainly be communicating and working with the board throughout the process of building this new facility in Bushwick. We're very excited because it will be a permanent, a permanent home for the theater, and therefore, a permanent art space in the neighborhood that we're excited to continue our work at. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I just put the list in the chat for who is next, so just be ready. John Stanesco, if you're still there, John. Let me just double check. I see you here twice. I'm gonna mute one of your, are you there, John?
Yes, are you hearing me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, wonderful. Hello, everybody. So as always, you can talk to me about free after-school services, as well as our daytime learning lab programs, offering childcare for children on their remote learning days. But I'm also excited to tell you all about a couple special events we have coming up for the Coalition for Hispanic Family Services community programs. Spring break is coming up March 29th to April 2nd, and we are offering a free spring break day camp for elementary students. That's grades K through 5. And so, we would be offering free childcare as well as enriching arts and recreational activities. Also, 2 other events this Saturday, March 20th, to celebrate Women's History month, we are hosting a outdoor fitness workout and luncheon. That's going to be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at IS 291, which is 231 Palmetto between Knickerbocker and Wilson. Also, next Thursday, March 25th, at the Hope Gardens Community Center, we are hosting a family night for all ages, and that's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that's at 422 Central between Palmetto and Woodbine. So if you're interested in any of these events, I can share some of these flyers with Celeste, and I don't know if you might be able to distribute them. But if you or any parents you know could use childcare services, we have both in-person and virtual programming. So we've got your back, and just let us know.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, 1.5 minutes, everyone. Dara, I have you. I'm going to unmute you here. Dara Ruiz, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you, Celeste, and to Community Board for having me here. We are opening our Brooklyn Community Veterinary Center on March 30th as our grand opening. And normally we would have more fanfare, but due to the pandemic, we're on the ground, we're doing outreach, but we're also attending, of course, community meetings and community board meetings to let you know. Our Community Veterinary Center is going to be offering low cost and fully subsidized vet care for all Brooklyn residents and their pets, dogs and cats. So that means vaccinations, flea and tick medicine, basic medical care, additional pet care information, as well as spay and neuter services. We're at 464 New Lots Avenue in East New York, between Wyona and Bradford Streets. And our hours are Tuesday through Saturday, 9 to 5. We're closed Sundays and Mondays. And to make any appointments, medical appointments, I can put the number in the chat. It's 844-MY-ASPCA. And again, we are here for all Brooklyn residents that have pets, dogs and cats, low cost and fully subsidized services. So March 30th is our grand opening, and we would love to have you and bring your pets for care. So thank you.
Quick question. This is Raul Rubio. I got a tortoise, so we got nothing for those guys?
So I can actually connect you. We've got a couple of veterinary partners in different boroughs for exotics, and I would be happy, Raul, to connect you. Unfortunately, our community veterinary center just sees dogs and cats. But again, I'm happy to put my information in the chat, and we can connect offline. I'd be happy to connect you with another veterinary partner.
That'll be great, because I need to take her in for a checkup. So
you got it. You got it.
Raul, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Oh my God.
Yo, it's true, man. I got a Russian tortoise, man. I gotta take care of him, man.
Tortoises are cool. Yeah, no, we definitely want to support our tortoise owners too. So I'll connect you, Raul.
I'm trying to see if I get a doctor for a horse. My horse needs.
That I can work on too. Okay. Thank you.
And so next we have, and I have to step away for a moment, but Roger Clemens and then Sammy, I know you have your announcement as well. So Roger, if you're there, you should be able to unmute yourself. I can unmute you just in case. Unmuting you now. Roger, do you have an announcement or anything?
Hi, yes. We currently have grab and go at BPL. Patrons will have access to 50 select branch lobbies for quick transactions. Holds, pickup, and return bins will also be available. Masks are required for both patrons and staff. Materials that are checked out during this time will not accrue fines for the time being, nor will fines accrue on items checked out before the closure. And while our in-person events are on hold, we are offering virtual programming via Facebook Live broadcasts, Zoom meetings, and streaming from our branch staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Sammy?
Oh, okay, thank you. Yes, I want to remind everyone of tomorrow's Community Education Council meeting that was previously mentioned on the Youth and Education Committee. Super important, the conversation about elementary and middle schools. But my main announcement comes from as member of the Bushwick Civic Political Club, that many of you are also members, to announce that next and in line of the ranked choice voting and on of the upcoming June primaries, we are gonna host in Bushwick the first forum to hear from the city council candidates that will be representing Bushwick from District 34, which represents Antonio Reynoso's seat, and District 37, current Councilwoman Darma Diaz. Those two seats are open for election in June. So it's Thursday, March 25 at 6 p.m., 6:30 p.m., and I'm going to put the link on the chat where you can register. If not, you can reach out to me if you want to get the registration. The candidates invited are Jennifer Gutierrez and Terrell Steiner from District 34, and District 37, Sandy Nurse, Darma Diaz, Miss Babdin, and Enrique Chevarria. This will be an opportunity for the community to ask them questions, see what are their plans for our community. So super, super, super important, so we can know how are they plan to lead our community probably for the next 10 years, because this new term will last, the next council members could last there for the next 8 years. So come by. If you cannot attend, please send us the questions, and we will be happy to ask them. Thank you.
Thank you, Sammy.
Jim, you're still in the shower?
All right.
No,
And then
I got out the shower already. I got out the shower. Thank you. Celeste, you on?
Yes, I'm here. Barbara, did
Okay,
you have
everything's
anything
done.
for us?
Everything's done. Next.
Okay, well, okay, I just wanted to make sure did Barbara speak? Because usually she has yeah. I don't see her. So we'll move on.
Virgie.
Oh, go ahead. Yes, Virgie. Go ahead, Virgie.
Okay, so one of the announcements was already made about the event that is at 291 on Saturday from 11 to 1 p.m. And the next announcement that we have is that Albany is hosting Her Story on Saturday from 12 to 2:30. And the website is, you have to register, www.albanyinc.wildacrepot.org. And that's Saturday. And we're having young people, poets, singers, and things of that nature. Thank you.
Thanks, Virgie. Last call, announcements. Hearing none, we'll move on with our second roll call. Please be ready, everyone. Yep.
Barbara's on.
Yep. Okay, Barbara, did you have something?
No, I was just saying, no, you said you couldn't hear me. I was on, but I had got an important phone call. But it's nothing really that's going on. We trying to set up a new thing with the NCOs, but we'll talk about that another time. So I have nothing yet.
Thank you. And before we do the second roll call, I'm gonna unmute. Some of the callers had some feedback on their line, so I'm just gonna mute you all just to make sure you can participate in the second roll call. All right. So please be ready. Oldhoff Wright. James Wiseman. Carlotta Williams. Jerry Valentine. Dustin Sonborn. Barbara Smith.
Present.
Julio Salinas.
Yep.
Eliseo Ruiz. Raul Rubio.
Present on one of those little screens in front of you.
Gladys Julia. Asire Polite.
Present.
Navoa.
Present.
Thank you, Z. Emmy Namir. Desmond Monroe is excused. Mary McClellan.
Here.
Luisa Jose.
Here.
Virgie Jones.
Here, Celeste.
Thank you. Cheryl Jones. Was that you, Cheryl? Okay. Kristen Judge?
Present.
Barbara Jackson?
Still here.
Gotcha. Tanisha Honeygan? Jose Guzman is excused. Reverend Gutierrez? Ann Guiney?
Here.
Igati Gomez?
Here.
Freddie Fowler? James Fitzgerald?
Present.
Victoria Fernandez?
Present.
Good to see you, Vicky. Alvina Davis?
Present. Hi, Vicky.
Daniela Davi?
Present.
Andrew Choi? Luisa Chan? Felix Ceballos? Melissa Carrera?
Here.
Ardia Caphart is excused. Robert Camacho?
Present.
Raul Brown?
Present.
Joshua Brown?
Present.
Joanna Bennett?
Present.
And Reverend Grace Yates. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn from the board?
So move.
I need a motion first.
Raul Rubio, I move to end the meeting.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Go ahead, I'll second that.
Zio Novoa, second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
You
Good
know
night.
I gotta leave.
Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, I forgot my cabbage, corn and cabbage.